Another week, another pair of fierce battles set to play out as Supertri's American start to 2024 continues here in Chicago. The Windy City welcoming the world's top short course series for the first time as part of the iconic Chicago Triathlon, the USA's largest short course triathlon and one of the triathlon majors. We are fresh off two incredible races in Boston. Before we dive into the action right here, let's take a look back at how it all played out last weekend. The back. It's time to get things underway. Looking to push the pace. It's Taylor Brown on the front. Lahare's had a great transition.
You can't underestimate how tough this racing is. The athlete now that really is looking absolutely magnificent is Kate Wolf as she rounds the bend.
John Lahare has just put the burners on. John Lahare is your champion, the first here in Boston. Podium racing do it, and it's John Lahare. Man, everyone's chasing Alex Yee. And now you've got your top two, gold and silver Olympic medalists at the front of this race. Yet another chapter in this long rivalry already between these two young men. Wild got something to give back, I don't think he does. And he claims it again, and Hayden Wild does not like that. Oh, another chapter in the rivalry. Alex Yee does not know how to lose. Oh man, how good was that? Now, just as they did in 2023, John Lahare and Alex Yee take maximum points from round one and arrive at the season's second stop, with the individual championship leads contributing hugely to their teams in the race for the team's title. Lahare's podium racing on top, as you can see there, by just 1 point over Crown Racing, with Brownlee Racing led by Yee 8 points further back. It would have been Crown on top if Hayden Wild had managed to avenge his Paris result and outrun Yee, but that didn't happen. The latest chapter in a rivalry that is heating up.
I want to make a show, I want to make the racing exciting.
We're racers on the course, but we're mates off the course, and I don't want anything to get in the way of that.
The gesture he did at the end felt like it was a little bit disrespectful, and I personally wouldn't have done it.
I think it's okay to celebrate, and I think everyone celebrates, no matter what sport. On the race course, we're rivals and we want to race each other and push each other to new limits.
Cannot wait for that. Focus first, though, is on the women's race, which kicks off in about 8 minutes' time, with Lahare looking for a third Supertri race win and a host of the very best in the world looking to stop that from happening. Let's take a look at the individual points table after round one. Three-time Olympic medalist and former Supertri champ Georgia Taylor Brown. She sits in second, as you can see there, ahead of her teammate and fellow Brit, Kate Woff, both of them racing for Crown. Another fourth for Stars and Stripes Taylor Spivey, racing here on home soil. Well, she's from the West Coast, with a strong run, vaulting Frances Leone Perriot into the top five. A couple of Brits from Brownlee Racing in Jess Fulliger and Olivia Matthias in 6th and 7th. And here is the unchanged lineup for Chicago. Look out for Olympic champion Cassandra Beaugrand from Crown Racing. She needs a better result after her 8th in Boston, as does 2023 world champion Beth Potter, who was eliminated for the first time in Supertri last weekend. 16 athletes altogether, 15 points on offer for the win, with only one athlete missing out on points altogether. All the individual points collected go to the team's total. The other way to contribute to the team is to turn in a top 3 fastest swim, bike or run. Let's get some insight from Stars and Stripes manager Parker Spencer.
Chicago is known as the Windy City, which means that Lake Michigan is going to have a lot of chop on it, and this pontoon is going to move a lot. A pontoon start favors the Stars and Stripes team with our strong swim background, and the inside line to the first buoy is going to be the fastest. When you look at this re-entry, it's very steep, and athletes are really going to have to focus on their footing. We're on the bike course right here next to the hairpin turn and the hot dog stand. You'll notice the hay bale is here on the corner in case an athlete happens to go down. We'll also have lifeguards in the water just in case. This is the most technical part of the bike course. It's going to be single file only, and I've told the athletes on the Stars and Stripes team if they're going to break away, this is the exact place to do it. It's also a 180 turn on the run course, much easier on 2 feet than it is on the bike. Transitions in triathlon are always important, but in Supertri they're crucial because you have 8 of them. The race is won on the run, which means that positioning into the run out off the bike is the most important. This week we have the short shoot inside transition, which means that if you earn the short shoot, you're at a big advantage. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Stars and Stripes perform on home soil.
So we've covered the athletes and we've covered the course. Now to the format. The Supertri format, it's a testing one. The swim is a super fast 300 metres, followed by a 4-kilometre bike and a 1.6k run. But we're doing those 3 times, 9 legs, 8 transitions, no room for error. Right now at the bottom of your screen, you can see the race as it will play out. Swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. The current leg will be highlighted so that you can follow along with the progress, and you'll also see those 3 SC symbols on the first 3 icons. That indicates who has won the short shoot. The short shoot is a shortcut that is earned for a team by the athletes that are first across the mount line after the opening swim and bike and across the dismount line after the first run. Now, the teams that earn it will pop up at the bottom. You can see Crown Racing there and Podium Racing. A team can actually only earn 1, and it will be given to any athlete in that team based on how the race is playing out. They'll take it on the final run, and it might just win them the race. That is how it is all going to play out, and now it is time to start things off and welcome our athletes out onto the course on what is a beautiful day here in Chicago. Summer in full effect, and Stars and Stripes are going to be out first. Let's have a look at them. Katie Zafiris, twice champion of Supertri. Taylor Spivey, as we mentioned earlier on, 4th last week. She's an Olympic silver medalist. Kirsten Kasper was also in Paris and finished 49th. And Kathy Asher is the lone athlete who isn't American. She is from Switzerland, the youngster, the under-23. There's an under-23 athlete in each one. Let's have a look at podium racing. They lead under the expert tutelage of Tim Don. The youngster Fanny Zalai, well, she's only 16 years of age, the Hungarian. Victoria Lopez, she picked up the swim points last weekend. Super swimmer from Brazil, Leonie Perio, had a fantastic run. And John Lahair, well, she picked up her 2nd Supertri win. And let's head down to Annie Emerson right now, who is with John.
Well, you're back to your Supertri very best with the victory last weekend in Boston. How are you feeling ahead of the race here in Chicago today?
Yeah, it was really nice, but I just know that now the girls are really like seeing me in the corner and will make the race really hard to not let me win a 2nd time in a row.
You had a great run last weekend, so you are really back to the best fitness that we've seen you in Supertri.
Yeah, I think a bit like I'm less surprised than in London last year, but I hope I can surf on this shape one more day.
Tell us about the bike course. It's a bit more technical than Boston, isn't it?
Yeah, it's way more technical, and I don't know if I like it, and I just know that some girl really like it and will make it very, very hard. So it will be very, very interesting to watch and to live.
Who are you going to be looking out for here most in terms of rivals?
Oh my God, I think a bit everyone, but Georgia and Kate again, and Cassandra probably as well.
Yeah, plenty of rivals, and a couple of them in the Brownlee Racing team. Pick out Beth Potter there. She didn't have her greatest race. She actually flew back to the UK in between races to go to see Taylor Swift. So let's see if she can shake it off, the 2023 World Champion. There's the pun. And have a better one this time around. Look out for Jess Fulliger and Livia Matthias. They had some solid top 10 results last time around. We'll see if Non-Stanford can manage them to a victory here. Finally, it is Crown Racing. And 2 of the top 3 spots in the women's went to Georgia Taylor-Brown and Kate Woff, fellow Brits, fellow Olympians, finished 6th and 15th respectively in Paris. Cassandra Beaugrand, well, she's the Olympic gold medalist from a couple of weeks ago, but she finished just 8th. And finally, Barbara DeConnick is the under-23 athlete. For Chris McCormack, manager extraordinaire, he is with Annie Emerson right now. And as usual, I'd say he's up and about and full of confidence.
Well, Macca, what are your team tactics this week? Cassandra Beaugrand last week, the Olympic champion, way off the pace, but you got a 2nd and 3rd, so you're going to change the tactics this week.
Yeah, our women are so strong. Cassandra, coming off a very successful Olympic campaign, was probably a little bit down on this short, sharp racing. She seems to be much better headspace this week. You know, the podium racing is the team to beat. I think Jean's performance last week was remarkable, and we saw how important the short shoot was. So just doing the little things right this week. I think we have an agenda to clean sweep the podium. That is our internal dream, and I think we're capable of doing it this week.
Let's have a quick chat about the bike course. A bit more technical this weekend as well.
The bike course is really tough this week, very tight at the far end. The wind, no one's talking about the wind. The wind picks up in the afternoon. It sort of sits across them on their way down, so it can be quite difficult. There's a lot of nerves around that far left-hand turn. It's very sharp, it's very tight and technical. They're worried about going in the water, but it's, you know, we looked at it, we're ready to rock and roll.
Great stuff. Good luck, Macca.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's a sort of a hot dog course, but there's lots of little wrinkles, and we're going to see that once they head out onto the bike, and cannot wait for that. There's a very tight section as they head down a ramp that we saw in the background, and Parker Spencer showed us, and some really rough sections as well, which is going to be very, very interesting. But before we get to all of that, we are going to do 300 metres in Lake Michigan. It's fresh water, so it'll be a bit of a slower swim, and if we can get a decently clean start, then we will see perhaps Cassandra Beaugrand lead out again. Perhaps it'll be Victoria Lopez. And, of course, there is swim points on offer and a short shoot at the end of transition after this. So, let's get it underway. Round 2 here in Chicago. On your marks! Clean start and a good start from the middle. Could have been Jess Fulliger or Liv Matthias as they head through the chop. 3 or 4 hours ago, absolute lake it was, Lake Michigan. Glassy and clean, and as always, around lunchtime, in comes the wind, and off goes Victoria Lopez at the front in the white of podium racing. There is closest to you that long, languid stroke of the French woman, the Olympic champion, Cassandra Beaugrand, and in the middle, one of the podium athletes in the blue. Oh, sorry, the Brownlee athletes in the blue as we welcome into commentary. And straight back from transition, it's nice to be here in the shade, no doubt. Annie Emerson, it's pretty warm out there.
It's an absolute scorcher, it really is. And this race is going to get really interesting as the rounds go around. And I think Macca made a good point. No one talking about the wind, though, and that's going to be really tough out on the bike course and on the run course. But look at the chop on the water here. When you look at it, it looks fairly benign, but when you're in there, there's a real chop on the water. But at the moment, we've got 16 athletes all swimming together, led by Victoria Lopez from Podium Racing. She'll be chasing those points, won't she, for the swim points for her team, as she did last weekend. She came out as the top swimmer in Boston.
That's right. Now, you can see the current pushing them to the left-hand side of your screen. It's a lake, but there is a current, such as the size of this lake. It's one of the greatest in the world. And the amateur athletes, we've had 8,000 of them across yesterday, and most of them today enjoyed a down current swim. But unfortunately, our athletes have to contend with it, pushing them towards the buoy as they make the turn. And you can see down the bottom of your screen, we are lit up for the first of 9 legs. The swim leg, a short shoot, or a short shoot on offer for each of the 3 opening legs you can see down there. And you'll be able to follow along with the race. Down the bottom will stay on screen. So it's getting strung out now as Lopez leads a second podium athlete. So 1-2, and Tim Don will be happy with that.
He is going to be absolutely ecstatic, and I have to say, for me, he's the manager out there with most technical knowledge overall in racing, I think, and he absolutely lives and breathes his position as team manager for Podium Racing. They are leading the series at the moment, with Crown Racing just behind, 1 point behind. I think coming into this series, we'd have said Crown Racing were definitely the favourites, but my money's on Podium Racing, Will. Honestly, they've got some fantastic athletes. They really had Jan Leher taking it out really fast. That's Victoria Lopez.
Actually, and that's a Stars and Stripes athlete. From the front, it looked like the podium kit, but the Stars and Stripes, you can see the red, white and blue on the Stars and Stripes athlete behind, so one of the Americans tucked in.
So picking out the American athletes from Stars and Stripes, got Katie Saveri, a 2-time winner. It's Spivey. It wouldn't surprise me, Will. She's such a strong swimmer, and she'll enjoy these slightly choppy conditions here in Lake Michigan. The other athletes racing for Stars and Stripes, Kirsten Casper, Katja Scher, and Katie Saveri is a 2-times winner of the Supertri series back in 2018-2019.
So points on offer as soon as they head up what is a very, very steep ramp, which they'll get to in about 60 or 80 metres time. There's a line where we'll pick up the points, so up to 4 points can go to the team's total, 4, 2 and 1 for the first 3 athletes across, but then the short shoot comes after transition, because transition is such an important part of this racing. So we'll see who is who once they come out the water, and it is Lopez who heads up first, and I think it's Casper, is it?
Kirsten Casper next out, yeah. Cassandra Beaugrand out in 3rd place for Crown Racing as well, as they all come out really in a pretty big group. But Victoria Lopez there, she's got work to do. She needs to grab a bike and a helmet and get across that line first if she's to pick up those vital points for her team.
Well, it is. The points are already done. The short shoot is the question, and it goes to Stars and Stripes. Casper's out first, and she puts what was a disappointing race in Boston in her home city behind her. And all the athletes are starting to come around that corner before mounting. It was a better mount from Beaugrand than it was from Lopez. The three of them will work together, and behind them is Olivia Matthias. Georgia Taylor-Brown there or thereabouts as well. Barbara DeConnick, Beth Potter had a good swim, 10 seconds back. Kate Woff as well. Jess Fulliger, Alice Beto, the top 10, already separated by 15 seconds.
Yeah, Beth Potter having a better swim this week. She sits on the wheel of Georgia Taylor-Brown, who was second in Boston, and that little trip back to the UK for the Taylor Spivey concert.
The Taylor Spivey concert? The Taylor Swift concert?
No, Taylor Spivey was
that
here,
would be a disaster.
Taylor
Spivey concert would be horrendous.
You don't know. Have you heard her sing before?
No, I haven't, actually. So, little chicane here, left, right. You can see the hay bales keeping the athletes safe if they come off. Very rough there. And then we've got to contend with these low-hanging branches. So, we've had to prune a little bit back, but you've got to stay on your toes on a Supertri course, as always. So this is into the wind as well. So Liv Matthias on the front having to do a little bit more work than everybody else, and everyone trying to stay down in the hoods to minimise the amount of wind resistance.
Yeah, just having a look, Leonie Perriot seems to be the one that was last out of the swim, nearly 30 seconds down. That's disappointing for her. She was the run leader from last weekend in Boston, but the athletes now slightly strung out. We've got a bit of a group here. I'm not sure if it's a course, though, where the athletes are really going to get an opportunity to break away. It's incredibly technical in places. It really is. As we watch the athletes now come round the top bend, hay bales are out there just in case we have any accidents. But they're all in single file now. Does that look like it's...
Beaugrand on the front.
Beaugrand, yep, on the front there. And
Taylor-Brown now taking a turn too. So the Crown athletes all moving to the front in first, second, and I think fourth, fifth wheel is the Phoenix helmet of Kate Woff. So Taylor-Brown finishing second last week. And we'll see this little chicane for the first time, and it is very, very tight through here. Single file. And then down the ramp, so that is something to contend with, no doubt, and you can see how rough it is along the bottom as well. So this course really throwing everything at the athletes, and one is right off the back, and we'll get the timing match very soon, as there's a call for Matthias to move into second wheel. So two Brits, 1 and 2 at the moment.
And an athlete that's going to really relish this course is Georgia Taylor-Brown. She has great bike skills, she really does. And we can see her now, the damage she's done on that little chicane. There's a little group that's managed to get away here now. And I think we're going to see a different race this weekend in Chicago, with the field really broken up with these skills that are being driven by Georgia Taylor-Brown at the end of the first lap.
Chris McCormack looking on as his athlete Taylor-Brown pushes Matthias, Casper. And I think Fulliger and a little group there. Beaugrand in that group as well. Kate Woff, Victoria Lopez, and then Beth Potter with a little gap back, and another little gap back to Barbara DeConnick, and then a bigger gap back to the chasing pack, which is led at the moment by Fanny Zalai with Zafiris, Alice Beto, Jean Lahair, who hasn't had a great start to this one, Spivey, Kathia Scher, and Leonie Perriot, who is 20 seconds in arrears. So something's happened with Leonie Perriot. She had a bad swim, and now she's significantly back. And of course, we have the 90-second rule in effect. If you fall more than 90 seconds back from the leader at any point at any lap, through transition, you will be eliminated and be shown the red flag by race director Michael Thompson. And doesn't he love to do it?
Oh, he sure does. He really does. And chatting with him on the podium on the swim start today, and he was just saying, I love this course. We're going to really give it to the athletes today. But they all had a really good opportunity yesterday in the familiarisation to get around the course on the bike and the run. So they know what's ahead of them today.
Three Brits on the front in this second of 9 legs. You can see lit up at the bottom. The first swim is done, and the short shoot handed to Stars and Stripes Racing for use in the final run. And now we are on the first bike and the second of 3 laps. And down in the hoods, goes Jess Fulliger as Olivia Matthias tucks in behind Georgia Taylor-Brown with Kirsten Casper back at the front of the racing, which we love to see as well. Has been a contender in years past, and down the ramp they go again onto the lower level, pushing really, really hard, and it is strung out in single file. Three Brits down in the hoods. These three know each other so well. They can ride almost touching wheels. They're so comfortable with each other. And now it is left back to the fourth Brit, Kate Woff, to chase down that little mini gap. Casper, Bogran, Lopez and Potter's tacked on as they string out even further, and we'll see what the gaps look like this time around. 1 lap to go as they're on the black carpet for the second time. Fulliger, Taylor-Brown and Matthias, and we're going to head down now to Parker Spencer, who picked up the first short shoot. He'll be happy with that.
Parker, Victoria Lopez has owned this short shoot in the past. Kirsten Casper got it today. She was second out of the water, but an incredible transition. Is that something you've been working on?
Kirsten's entire strategy was to get on Lopez's feet and make sure that she had a good transition. So it worked perfectly. We got the short shoot, and that'll come into crucial later on in the race. We'll see who I give it to. Right now, it's kind of anybody's short shoot at this point.
All right, yeah, absolutely. It usually happens, or it's the team manager to ask, what about the second bike, when the race is really starting to take shape, to nominate their short shoot athlete. And now Leonie Perriot's fallen to 46 seconds in arrears, so she's lost a further 15 seconds on that lap. And Leonie Perriot, you know,
5th last weekend and the fastest run, so disappointing for her.
5th in Tokyo. She picked up a bronze in the mixed team relay there. I mean, she finished 27th in Paris. She's had, you know, as you said, an incredible run. She's not going to be able to show it today because she's too far back already.
I think the problem here, Will, is the swim out is very technical as well. And last weekend they had that big run up the beach, and being such a strong runner, she was able to pull back some of the deficit that she lost in the swim. But here in Chicago, with the swim exit being so close to the bikes, I think that's where it's all gone wrong for Leonie Perriot.
Yeah, no beach run to win it back, I suppose. And also looking down the order, Jean Lehair's 6 seconds back. Taylor Spivey 9 seconds back, but 11 seconds separates the top 15, and then a further 35 seconds back to Perriot, who is having a lonely old race at the back for whatever reason, as now it is Casper who takes her turn on the front, the one that won the short shoot, the one that executed her swim plan perfectly, the one that unfortunately had 3 separate crashes at Paris 2024 in the... it was very difficult conditions, wet, slippery cobblestones, nothing like that here. I mean, it's difficult conditions, but just a different set, and obviously a set that suits Kirsten Casper today.
The athletes now heading towards the end of lap 3, their first bike, and the shoes, the feet are coming out of the bike shoes. Transition is just so important. Kirsten Casper, though, having a great day. A couple of podium athletes up there as well. Podium racing, Jessica Fulliger, Olivia Matthias, both having really strong results last weekend. Cassandra Beaugrand as well tucked in there, so good news for Crown Racing.
All right, Matthias and Fulliger just stuck together like glue so far in this season of Supertri, and whoever transitions the best and comes out, and it looks like it could be one of the 2 Brownlee athletes are going to come out. Non-Stanford's going to be happy. We're going to see. We didn't see who came across then, and it looked like Matthias ahead of Fulliger. So the second short shoot goes to Brownlee Racing, and those two have just been so solid over the racing so far this season.
They really have. Just having a look at the team's leaderboard, Podium Racing leading the way at the moment with 82, Crown Racing 81, Brownlee Racing 73, Stars and Stripes didn't have such a good weekend last weekend in the first outing in Boston, sit back in with just 46 points, so they'll be searching for some good results today, but at the moment I can only see Kirsten Casper in the top 10, or it looks like Katie Safiris might just be in there, but Taylor Spivey having a bit of a slower start, as she did in Boston, so she will work her way back into this race, I think. But it's hot, and once the heart rate starts going up in this heat, very difficult to bring it down again. And I think that's going to slow the latter stages of the race down. And we can see there it is Alicia Beto on the left-hand side of your screen in blue, and Beth Potter, the bronze medalist from Paris. She's working her way back into this race as well.
Share off the back too, and those front 3 that's being shut down because behind them, Jean Lehair, our race winner from last week, We've got the 2023 world champion in Beth Potter in the blue, and then in the red with the Bahrain Victorious logo is Cassandra Beaugrand, who is the Olympic gold medalist, probably the fastest runner in the sport. So you've got probably the fastest 3 runners in the sport in 4th, 5th and 6th, and shutting down that gap to the 3 at the front, with Casper tucked in behind Matthias and Fulliger tucked in behind Casper. And there's Lahair, who's come from about 9th into 4th and taken Potter and Beaugrand with her, and Taylor Brown is your 7th placed athlete. Behind her, we can see Kate Woff, Alice Beto is in there, and the pace is getting quite hot for athletes like Barbara de Koning, who is seeing things disappear into the distance.
And it is difficult to explain the run here. I ran along the waterfront the other morning, and it's heavy ground. The concrete is really, really hard here, and it's hot, so the heat is coming off the pavement. So this is going to be a tough race for all of these girls, but some are going to enjoy the hotter weather than others. And just saying that now, Jan Lahair, last week's winner, goes into the front of this race.
Lahair, Matthias, Beaugrand, so, well, I would say 2 French women, but now Lahair races for Luxembourg, having switched across and changed allegiances. In the back of shot there, Zephyrus. Spivey's managed to move into about 10th position, and then de Koning is dropped off the back, as is Kathy Asher. Leonie Perriot nearly 60 seconds in arrears, and we'll get one more lap on the run, and it is hot out there. As I said, we'll head down to Non Stanford, who's got a couple of athletes in the mix at Brownlee Racing.
Non, the Brownlee Racing women in an incredible position. You had 3 in the top 4 going out onto that run.
Yeah, we really wanted to get short shoes this week. Saw how much of a difference it made for Alex. But hopefully we'll have a few women at the end who are fighting on the... important, but also Liv and Jess are incredible bike riders, and they know that if they force the pace, they can really split the group, and they really did that then. So yeah, they're working well as a team and packing really well, and hopefully we continue as the race goes on.
All right, Non Stanford enjoying her debut as manager over the last couple of weeks. The 2013 world champion was racing elite level in 2022 as Lahair hits the front. Now you can see Beaugrand already putting the swim cap on. Any veteran of races at Supertri knows to plan ahead. Group of 4 now, as Taylor Brown, Potter, Lahair and Beaugrand hit the front, and Matthias has dropped back. Fanny Zelai's in the mix too. We haven't mentioned her, the 16-year-olds.
So interesting looking at the athletes going through now. Beth and Cassandra, both medalists in Paris, didn't have such great races last weekend. Beth Potter eliminated. She was devastated by that, and I know she really wanted to make amends this week. Cassandra Beaugrand looking majestic, so strong. She is such an elegant, lovely runner to watch, but last weekend she finished down in 8th place, and that would have been pretty disappointing for her.
Yeah, it's unusual for Cassandra Beaugrand, used to winning, but has had troubles with consistency in the past to string it together, but she certainly put it out on the biggest day in racing in Paris 3 weeks ago. Now, there is a 3rd short shoot available, and it is going to be at the dismount line, which is coming up, and Cassandra Beaugrand knows this. So Stars and Stripes Racing have a short shoot, Brownlee Racing have a short shoot. They can't win another one, but they can take it away from, like, they can pick up the other one. They can only take one in the end. And Beaugrand knows this. She wants to run away, and it looks like Crown Racing might pick one up. They didn't have one last week, and it will be important for Chris McCormack, and he will have said, run away with it, Cassandra, pick it up for us, get the run points. As the cream, I guess, has risen to the top of this women's race. When you look at the resumes of the athletes here, we've got the reigning Olympic gold medalist, the reigning world champion, the reigning Supertri leader, and the most decorated female Olympic triathlete of all time. And you can't get much better than that when you look at a start list.
No, I'm just having a look at what the athletes are doing here. Notice GTB, Georgia Taylor-Brown's got her goggles on her hat. Cassandra Beaugrand doesn't have her goggles with her, and neither does Beth Potter. And I'm presuming that when their shoes go in their box, then they pick up their goggles, because they probably don't want to get the sweat in them and get them smeared before they dive in the water. Minor details, but just interesting to see. Cassandra Beaugrand doesn't have her goggles, neither does Beth, but Georgia Taylor-Brown does. So,
she's reaching in now, Beaugrand.
Oh, there they were. They were in her top all the time.
How did you not know that?
Oh, I just didn't see it. Missed that one.
Beaugrand heads out. Taylor Brown heads out. Shoes in the box. Through the top of transition. Back down. Now, it'll be interesting to see whether they take the ramp down into the water or they run along the side. There you go. Beaugrand's decided to run along the side and dive off. And I think we'll see everyone follow her because it's slightly faster than to head down into the water down the ramp as the four of them look to stick together. And Potter will be really keen to make sure she stays on the feet of the stronger swimmers ahead of her.
Interesting, the rivalry between Cassandra Beaugrand and Beth Potter. Beth Potter winning the eSport World Championships back in London earlier on this year, with Cassandra Beaugrand coming in second. And then, of course, she won the test event last year, Beth Potter. But then Cassandra Beaugrand won the gold medal on the day that really counted. So Beth Potter, she's so competitive. She's such a tough competitor. I think she'd really like to get the better of Cassandra Beaugrand today.
Right, the short shoots are decided. Stars and Stripes, Brownlee and Crown pick them up. We're into the second of 3 back-to-back triathlons, and this second and then the third swim is where it really starts to string out, because fatigue swims are something that triathletes are not normally used to, and if you're not a strong swimmer, you can lose serious time. And looking back at the splits, Victoria Lopez, having come out of the water second, is 1 minute and 3 seconds behind. So something's happened to Victoria Lopez, because she is now behind Leonie Perriot on our timing sheets, and she was right near the front. So Leonie Perriot has run her way back past. She was 35 seconds behind, and she's run her way back past Lopez and Kathia Scher into 14th. But at the front of the race is 2 Crown athletes, and Chris McCormack will be very happy with that.
Chris, Cassandra Beaugrand struggled a little bit with her foot. She's gone hard out on that run. Is that a deliberate tactic to get the short shoot in the run points, or can she stay up the front?
No, I think she's in the mood to win the race. I think she blew the cobwebs out last week. It was a big, coming off the Olympic Games, the high of that, just coming back into the racing. She needed that race. She's been confident all week, and when you get her in this sort of mood, you let her run with it. So we wanted to get that short shoot, which she got, and I just informed her, just open up in that swim. She's the best swimmer in the field, one of, and I think she's in the position now to win this race.
There you go. Chris McCormack, 4-time world champion, twice Hawaii Ironman winner, once voted ESPN's fittest athlete of the year, world's fittest athlete. That was a fair few years ago now,
yeah.
though.
I don't know, he's not looking bad these days.
Oh,
I think he's got
still
back
in
in some
fighting
good
shape.
Absolutely.
He's actually doing the Chicago Marathon very soon at 50-something years of age.
You joining him?
Absolutely not. I will leave the athletics to the athletes, thank you very much, as Beaugrand leads out Taylor Brown, and Lahair and Potter sticking with them. Casper, Zalai, Spivey and Matthias is the top 8. How about the race, though, from Fanny Zalai, the 16-year-old, who shocked us all with that third place in Cersei in Supertri E last year at 15 years old. Finished just behind Liv Matthias, actually, who was already a Commonwealth Games silver medalist. And then came into last year's racing, had 1 top 10 in Neon, got better and better across the racing at such a young age, youngest we've ever had. And now she is sitting comfortably in 6th position ahead of Taylor Spivey, the Olympic silver medalist. So she just keeps going in leaps and bounds, does the young Hungarian, and it is great to see as she grows in confidence in this stellar field of athletes.
And I think we've seen quite a few athletes, haven't we? Hayden Wild was an athlete that raced Super League, or Supertri, many years ago. And it really does bring on the younger athletes, I think, into the sport really nicely. And Fanny Zalai, at just 16 years of age, as you said, Will, I mean, she is such a talent, has such a massive future ahead of her. Just recently won the European Youth Championships, and I wouldn't discount her for a decent result here. She goes very well in the heat, just 16 years of age, and just so experienced and composed. Looking back down, though, I think that Leonie Perriot is starting to work her way back into this race. She's 50 seconds down, as we can just see now. It's Cassandra Beaugrand who's led out the swim with Georgia Taylor Brown behind her. Jan Lahair is sitting in 3rd place as well. Kirsten Casper, having got eliminated last weekend, is having a stunning race so far on the second leg of this 3-leg race. Swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run.
Little hesitation there from Beaugrand. Which one is my bike? Anyway, she found it. It's really relatable, that is, to come into transition with your heart rate that high and go, where's my stuff? So it's good to see even the world's very, very best have that same problem as Taylor Brown, Beaugrand, Lahair are your top three from the Stars and Stripes Racing of Casper and Spivey. So an interesting decision to be made from Parker Spencer and also from Chris McCormack as to which of their two athletes in the top five they're going to hand the short shoot to, because it has to happen very, very soon. In fact, on this leg. So maybe having given it to Cassandra Beaugrand last week while she was in 8th position and she finished in 8th position, maybe it's Georgia Taylor-Brown's turn this week, or maybe he goes back to Kate Woff. But there's a 14-second gap between Beto and Woff, who was your third place getter last week. So maybe she'll miss out on it as Lahair tacks onto the back of the two Crown Racing athletes and they head through the little quick, I guess we'll call it a chicane.
Yep, happy to see the paid bells there, just in case. But the athletes at the moment negotiating this course really well. But as you said, third place finisher from last week, Kate Woff from Crown Racing, not having such a good start to this race. And I really do think that the heat and the wind is impacting some of the performances of the athletes. So there was 10 athletes out within about 14 seconds. And I think that they will regroup. Is that Jess Fulliger who sits off the back of the pack, though? She's got a bit of work to do. Yeah, Beth Potter sitting in 6th place. She lost 6 seconds.
I think it's Alice Beto who's all by herself back there. Fulliger's tacked onto the back of that second group. But it's a lonely old place coming down that kilometre or so into a headwind all by yourself, watching the others work together as Kathy Asher has decided, I don't think she was eliminated. Oh, she may have been eliminated. I think she's had a difficult second swim. And Kathy Asher is eliminated. Leonie Perriot is back at the back. So Lopez has gone past Perriot at the back for 14th and 15th in that swim. But then we're going to head back. Well, now that we're back on land, Perriot should show her class to stay within the minute. And at the front now, a group of 3 has grown to a group of 9 with Beto, the Italian 36-year-old oldest athlete in the field, coming back after her becoming a mother in November 2022 to her son Ettore.
So you mentioned there Kacish, who's out of the race. She was the youngest athlete to race in Paris in the Olympics. Not the greatest of days here for her, but she will be back in London, touchwood, in a couple of weeks' time. Georgia Taylor-Brown, though, at the front of this race at the moment. And the podium racing, Jeanne Lahair is up there as well. And Brownlee Racing having a great day so far.
All right, we'll go back down to Adam Leach. He is with Podium Racing Super Manager Tim Don.
Tim, John Lahair. She's right in it again after winning in Boston last week. Do you think she can do it again?
I'm not sure if she can do it, but the plan was don't get the heart rate too high in the first run. Don't chase the short shoot. Play the long game. So we've got a calling strategy we're using in the race, but she's a feisty one, so I really hope she can be up there on the last run.
I love how he misses out. He's the only one who missed out on a short shoot, and then immediately, first opportunity, he says, yeah, we didn't want it.
That's all planned.
Yeah, 100%. Everything's a plan with TD, no doubt about that. So 40 seconds across the top 12. Katie Zafiris, our two-time champion, is coming in 12th position, 40 seconds in arrears. Kate Woff's having a difficult middle part of this race. She's 33 seconds back. And in fact, across the men and women, everyone who has won a Supertri championship is here.
I mean, that is just incredible, isn't it? When you think back to, we're back to 2018, we're now 2024, and every single champion is here racing because, of course, Léa Berger, the bronze medalist, wasn't here, wasn't in Boston last weekend, but he is back racing Supertri. He, of course, is the reigning champion. He'll be up a little bit later, but what a lineup, honestly, in this year's Supertri series. It's absolutely stunning.
I think, it says a lot of things about the athletes that they keep coming back and keep staying at the top of their game. But also for Supertri, it's an enjoyable experience for the athletes, and it's engendered a certain amount of, I guess, loyalty to come back year on year and travel the world. I think they enjoy this type of racing. They enjoy the little wrinkles that we put into the racing, and they enjoy all travelling together and being looked after in the Supertri way, which is fantastic. And that's why we see the athletes coming back, and that's why we see the very best in the world as well. And right on the front, Fulliger, who dropped back to about 8th or 9th, has ridden her way back to the front of this race as she looks behind to her fellow Brits for support.
Yeah, good to see Fulliger up there. She finished 6th last weekend, which is her best result so far racing in the Supertri series. She was a junior bronze medalist a little while ago in 2019 in Lausanne, and I think she has a great potential, so strong on the bike and on the swim. And as you said, well, she found herself a little bit further down than she would like, but was able to ride back into this pack. And Salai as well, we mentioned earlier, the young 16-year-old Hungarian, really having a great race here, sitting in this main pack. It says 3 seconds down, but that's just in the order that they've come across the timing mat.
I can't get over how Fulliger and Matthias are just basically one human at the moment and have been since we started. In fact, Jess Fulliger bailed me up near the lifts in the hotel in Boston and said, "You called me Liv Matthias last week." I said, "Well, it's very hard. The two of you are just basically sticking together for Team Brownlee Racing, and Non-Stanford will be happy."
Non, you've got a short shoot to allocate, and you've got some really well-positioned athletes for Brownlee Racing here. Have you decided who you're going to give it to? And if not, how are you going to decide?
I haven't decided yet. This is actually the worst part of my job. Liv obviously won the short shoot, but Beth's a very strong runner, so I've got to decide between who that will advantage more. Will it move Liv or Jess up a few places, or will it give Beth the chance to go for the win? So, torn, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's probably going to have to be a split decision at the end.
It's hard to have a split decision, Non, when it's just you making the decision.
I'm going to call it. It's going to Beth. She's
I think it
got
is too.
to give it to Beth.
I think she'll give it to Beth Potter. Obviously, she's a super rudder and has...
I mean, Liv Matthias is having a brilliant race and is riding so well, one of the strongest riders last weekend, but you know it's going to be Beth that's going to be at the pointy end on the last run. Well, touch wood, I hope I'm not eating my words in a short while time, but I think she'll have to, Non-Stanford, the manager of Brownlee Racing, will have to give that to Beth Potter, who seems to be on much better form this weekend than last weekend.
That's right, she's sitting back there in the pack while Matthias and Fulliger continue to drive this pack from the front. So in there we've got 3 Brownlee athletes, we've got 2 podium racing athletes, we've got a couple of crown racing athletes, and we've got 2 stars and stripes athletes. So pretty even across that group of 9. Taylor Brown, Jess Fulliger, Liv Matthias, Jean Lahair, Taylor Spivey, Cassandra Beaugrand, Kirsten Casper, Beth Potter, and Fanny Zalai. Then 10 seconds back to Alice Beto, and another 20 seconds back to Kate Waff. And Katie Zafiris is having another difficult one. She wasn't 100% in Boston, was sick, and I think that probably she's still feeling the effects. As the Brits, they just do not mind being at the front and working hard on the bike. And they're back at the front again.
That's the Brits for you, Will. You know, we're super hard. We really are.
I just gave you that one, didn't I?
You asked for it.
Yeah, I did. Here we go, dismount time. So we are past the halfway mark of this incredible race here in Chicago, and we have a group of 9 at the front. And Non-Stanford is still dealing with that split decision as she tries to cool down her athletes at the front. Matthias and Fulliger together. They head out first. Very good transition as well from Lahair. She's in second spot. Spivey, Potter, Beaugrand, Taylor Brown, Casper, and Zalai was a little slower in transition as she tries to stay on the back, and you can see her there digging deep. She's got an incredible run. Does Fanny Zalai, but imagine just being her right now and looking ahead of you and seeing the quality and the resumes of the athletes in front of you. It's incredible. Matthias off the front.
It's the way she handles the pressure that just gives me goosebumps. It really does. She just loves racing. She loves sport. She's so focused at such a young age. Her best result previously was a top 10 in Neom, and I think, you know, if she just hangs in there now and just relaxes into this.
It's so relaxing, isn't it?
Well, there is a way of relaxing when you run, Will. Okay?
Is there?
You might not found it yet, but
not for me. It is, but I'll have to be doing like 14-minute miles and I'll be relaxed. Beto, I feel for Alice Beto. She is having a tough race all by herself and continues to be there at 11 seconds in arrears behind this group of 9, and I think it's safe to say that from this group of 9 we're going to see our podium unless some drastic things happen, but all of the contenders are in there. Taylor Spivey tucked in. She will be so determined to find a podium. She finishes 4th more than any other athlete in this field.
And I said to her before the race started, I said, come on, this is a good race for you, because she's always very apprehensive and nervous before racing, but she's showing us now that this course really suits her, and she goes so well in the heat, which is absolutely crucial here today. It's 31 degrees plus, it's windy, it's humid, you can't get much tougher conditions than this, Will, you really can't.
We'll head down now to Tim Don. It won't be about the short shoot because he doesn't have one, but he's got plenty of contenders in this race, Adam.
Tim, Fanny Salai, 16 years old. What a performance this is. What have you been working on with her to get this kind of levels out of her?
We really talked about the transitions. It's the finer detail. She's got the athleticism to compete with these women, but they've got years of experience. So we worked on helmet, simple things, helmet, shoes on, being in a better position into transition. And she's a big-time performer. I'm so pleased that she's there. We've still got another round. I think it will slow down because it is hot.
It is indeed, and 31 degrees in the air, but when you've got the sun reflecting off that concrete, it's tough out there. Could be 40 degrees. For Taylor Spivey, enjoying it in the warmth. And there's Georgia Taylor-Brown sitting in second last week. Won't want another one. Want to stamp her authority. She's been one of those athletes that's picked up 2, actually, Supertri titles in her time. Bogrand behind and Spivey. And now Fulliger dropping a little bit back from this pack as it moves to a pack of 8. Spivey making the turn, top of the course, as we have got one more lap to go on this run, and we're into the final swim, bike and run. We're going to find out the short shoots in just a second, I would think.
This is interesting because they talked, I think it was Non who talked, or was it Tim, who talked about just trying to keep the heart rate down. I mean, it seems virtually impossible right now, but if you just stay relaxed, and also when you're running here, because of the wind, if you just tuck in behind someone, get a little bit of a drafting effect as well, that can keep the heart rate down by a few beats. We see the athletes now starting to get their hats on. It's going to get harder because the sweat is going to make getting that plastic hat over the forehead and onto the head a little bit tricky. It really is. Jan Leher looking very comfortable. Taylor Spivey on the left-hand side there, Stars and Stripes, really looking good. And this is a nice little group, it really is. Jess Fulliger from Brownlee Racing has dropped off the pace a little bit, but she might be able to pull something back on the swim. And Alicia Beto keeping herself inside the top 10 for Brownlee Racing.
All right, it's time to eat your words, Annie Emerson, because I hope you're hungry. Livia Matthias gets Brownlee Racing, Cassandra Beaugrand gets Crown Racing, and Taylor Spivey picks up the short shoot for Stars and Stripes. Yum, 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 Annie.
I got that one wrong, but I tell you what, I think I might have given it to Beth Potter. Let's see what happens.
You know what? A new manager at Non-Stanford, she would have in the end gone, Liv Matthias won it for us, I'll give it to Liv.
Yeah.
An older, grizzled, more jaded manager might have gone, I'll give it to the 2023 World Champion. But Non will do, you know, she's still a racer, right? So she's only just finished racing. She'll go, well, Liv Matthias won it.
Well, you know what? You're absolutely right. 2022, she was a European champion, and she finished her final race in Neom for Supertri. She was an absolutely outstanding athlete in her time, but now managing Brownlee Racing, and Beth Potter looking very comfortable as she heads towards the water. Olivia Matthias.
You know what? I don't think she is looking that comfortable, Potter. I saw her on the way out. She looked like she...
Let's see what happens at the end of the race.
Look, I'll understand. I'll get to eat my words too. Yeah, I'm hungry. But she didn't look too good running into the sun and into the wind on the way up. But when I say she didn't look good, she just, on her face, she didn't have that steely-eyed stare we see sometimes, but sometimes looks can be very, very deceiving as she, you know, she's got the quality to do it. And Zelai's stuck with this group, which is so good to see, and it was Fulliger that had yo-yoed off the back. Now we have a group of 8.
Smart racing from Potter it is. She doesn't want Cassandra Beaugrand to get the lead into the water as she did in the previous round. Goggles go on for Beth Potter. And it's a better weekend, isn't it, for Stars and Stripes Racing? It is, with Kirsten Kasper having a really, really decent race. And Spivey, it's going to be interesting at the end because I think she's one of the athletes that's going to go well in the final run in the heat.
Do you ever run with your goggles on?
No.
I can't imagine it's too much fun. You steam up, you got no windscreen wipers. I don't know, we make athletes do all sorts of stuff in Supertri Racing. Look at that backdrop, beautiful spot here in Chicago, right in the heart of the city. And hasn't the city turned out to watch this incredible racing as they head into the water for the final time, and it's Potter off the front who takes the little diving board out, and oh, we've seen Taylor Spivey. I guess if you can only go one wide here, so it was Salai who was a bit slower off there as Fulliger tries desperately to catch up to the group.
Well, Fulliger sitting back 11 seconds down. Fanny Salai, she might be grateful of that company when Fulliger swims up alongside her, which I imagine that she will do. Jess, a really, really strong swimmer, and that could help Fanny Salai out. Georgia Taylor-Brown was 7th into the water, and Beto has lost a little bit of time on that last lap, having to run it all alone. 28 seconds back, but Beto is a great swimmer. She might be able to just tag on to the back of Fulliger if she works really hard over this first 100 metres to the first buoy.
So Beth Potter on the front, Taylor Spivey is in the white, and Matthias is in second position having a good swim. So now we have two Brownlee athletes on the front, Matthias with a short shoot. And you can see Spivey there, she's breathing on both sides, which allows her to see a little bit more about what's going on around her, but she's got the right feet, which is the feet of the leader. She's probably a slightly stronger swimmer than Potter, but Potter's gotten better with her swimming year on year.
Oh, she really has, and actually she's got better throughout this race at the moment. Previously she went a little bit wide in the second round, and I don't know if she noticed that, and that's where she lost the time. We didn't really see much of it on the camera, but I noticed she went very left. But at the moment in this third and final swim, she's having a really decent one. But Taylor Spivey, always so good in the water, former life-saving champion, and it's Victoria Lopez that has to face elimination. She fell 90 seconds down. Anyone just tuning in now, if the athletes fall 90 seconds down on the leaders, they are eliminated from the race.
So Lopez did a job though. She would have been sent out there and said, Dewey did last week, pick up the 14 points for winning the opening swim, or make fastest swim of the day, which is usually the opening swim. And now, having put that effort in, picked up those points, Victoria Lopez, the Brazilian, silver medalist in the Pan Ams in 2019, 25th in Paris overall. She's eliminated from the race. Last swim of the day, and the toughest part of the last swim of the day, which is the last 100 metres back into shore before the final bike and run. And all three of the short shoot winners are in the top 5. Well, they were when they went into the water. That's Fulliger, you can see in the backer shot. She went in 5 seconds back. I think she's a little bit more than that now, because if you...
No, that's Alicia Beto coming round that buoy up
sure?
there.
Fulliger got to the back. Did she? Oh, maybe she did indeed. You can see her there in the back in the blue.
Alicia Beto from Italy racing for Brownlee Racing. She's
all 4 in the top 11.
She's doing a really, really good job, I have to say. She was 7th in Tokyo Olympics, 16th in Paris. As you mentioned a little while ago, she's got a little boy 2 years ago. Well, he'll be 2 in November. And she's had several top 10s in Superdry. And she's having a tough day because she finds herself on her own, but she's still sitting in 10th position. So good points for the team if she doesn't lose any more time.
That's right. Well, did a disservice there to Fulliger. She has caught up onto the back, and we're back into a group of 9. And now, 2018-2019, two-time Supertri champ Katie Zafiris is on the cusp of elimination. She went into the water a minute 24 back, so that's 84 seconds. And she's swimming on her own out there, which means it's going to be slightly slower for her, not being able to draft off the other athletes. So she might be eliminated coming out of the swim. She'll need a big one to stay in touch. We know how strong she is overall and on the bike, so she might be able to stay in. Barbara de Koning, the other one, at 88 seconds back. And Kate Woff, she's just not having a day today.
I think some athletes will have perhaps recovered, quicker from last weekend's racing, and then you've got travel from Boston to Chicago. But Kate Woff, so strong, but a tough day for the athlete racing for Brownlee Racing.
Matthias doing her manager proud and honouring the short shoot. Leads out of the water from Spivey and Potter as well. 2 Brownlee athletes in the top 3, and non-Stanford there in your shot. And here they come around for the last bike of the day. We are at 8th of 9 legs. You can see it's going to light up in just a second when they head out onto the bike. And then the final run to the flag. 45 minutes nearly of this race. Men's race coming up in about 20 to 25 minutes time. And that is going to be a cracker, as it always is. But this is absolutely anyone's, with 3 of them with a short shoot. You can see the short shoot there. where the race director's standing, so they get to turn a little bit sooner than they otherwise would. Probably give you 2 or 3 seconds as Taylor Spivey puts her head down and decides that she is going to try and split this pack up. Taylor Brown having trouble getting her feet in the shoes, and now she's got a little bit of a gap. And
do you know what? This is brave racing for her, because she knows that come the final run, if she's with GTB and if she's with Potter and Cassandra Beaugrand and Jan Leher, then she's going to get 5th place. And she's a strong cyclist, technically really good. So the only way she can really beat them is on this bike course. Olivia Mathias from Brownlee Racing has gone with her, and this is, I think, going to break up the pack here now.
Well, you can see the gap back now. There's a big gap back between 4th and the rest. And Spivey needs help. She needs Mathias to do a couple of turns. She needs Taylor Brown potentially to come up and join the group. But, of course, then you have to contend with Taylor Brown's run.
She'd take that, though, I think.
I think so too.
She'd take Georgia Taylor Brown with her because she's so strong on the bike. She really is. But Spivey needs a little bit of a gap over Jan Leher and Cassandra Beaugrand. Beth Potter as well, sitting back in that little chase group. It's only a few seconds, but it could be significant at this stage in the race.
Let's see how they turn and come back, and whether or not that gap is significant enough. It's something. It's probably 2 or 3 seconds, but they've got to work together now, a group of 4, to try and push away from the chasing group.
And it's Kirsten Kasper who's sitting on the front of that chase pack. We just see Barbara de Kooning. She's eliminated, fallen 90 seconds behind. But what I was about to say, Will, is that does Kasper work and build the group back up, or does she let Taylor Spivey, her teammate, head down the road and get a podium finish? Interesting stuff. I wonder what the manager would say, Parker Spencer.
Well, he might say something when they head through transition and just say, well, don't drive this pack. We've got someone in. And here comes we have this all the time in Supertri racing, which is another interesting little wrinkle, is there is team tactics going on out there, but it's an individual sport. So on one hand, you can work for the team, and that'll obviously get you invited back when the next time we do contracts again, and that's obviously play a role. But Kirsten Kasper hasn't tasted the front of racing recently.
And Jess Fulliger on the front, for me, she is one of the strongest cyclists right now in triathlon over this distance. And she'd be working really hard, I think, although she has left Beth Potter behind, but she'll be searching for her own podium finish as well. She finished 6th last weekend. So this is a good news for Jess Fulliger, Olivia Mathias, Georgia Taylor Brown, and Spivey just off the back there.
All right, we'll head down now to Chris McCormack, see what he has to say as Georgia Taylor Brown asks for some help.
Chris, Georgia Taylor Brown right in there in the front, but she doesn't have a short shoot, unlike some of the rivals in that group. What are you thinking? What are her chances here, bearing in mind that?
Well, I expected them all to be together. I told Cassandra that she had the short shoot as she got in. That's what the girls wanted, to know who got it before they started that bike ride. And it seems GTB put the hammer down, knowing that she needed to get that break. But, she's capable. I think she just seems to be in good form. She seems to be running. I thought last week she got beaten by the short shoot. Hope that doesn't happen this week, but she seems to be racing a lot more confidently. So let's see. It's always one of those tough things to do as a manager.
It is indeed, and how quickly the complexion of a race can change. It's very hard to predict a couple of legs ahead.
Do you know what's interesting? Did not know this was going to happen, because Olivia Mathias does have a short shoot.
That's the one. She's the one that's in there that's got the short shoot.
We don't have Beth Potter.
Hang on, Spivey's got a short shoot too.
Yep.
So 2 do and 2 don't from this group of 4.
Yeah,
but I've got to say, if we had a most combative athlete award, I'd probably give it to Jess Fulliger, who has gone off the back and pushed her way back up multiple times, only to outlast the group of 9 into the group of 4. So she has dug very, very deep, Jess Fulliger. And now it isn't Kasper at the back of that one, the front of the second pack, sorry. It's
Cassandra Beaugrand,
who is trying to push her way back up, because she does have a short shoot and she does have a run on her, as we know. But there's only so much ground she can cover on the way back up.
Oh, Leonie
Perriot
Perriot
struggled all day. Zafiris is out as well. So more eliminations this time than last time. And when we first sighted this course, people were saying, I think it's an easy course. We're going to end up in a pack together. We're going to end up in a pack. Not so.
it's heart in your mouth stuff. It really is. And the athletes negotiating this tricky course really, really well. I mean, there's lots of straights on it, but the small chicanes, turns, 180-degree turns on this course make it quite difficult for the athletes. Olivia Mathias there just coming through. This is playing into Taylor Spivey's hands in terms of a podium finish. She said she didn't feel great coming into this race. She had to settle for 4th last weekend. She'll be starting to think now about the run. Just 1 lap to go on this bike course as the athletes come round the 180-degree turn in the transition area for the last time.
Let's make some noise!
All right, now last week John Lahair ran 7 seconds into those in front of her to win that race. She is currently 7 seconds behind with a group including Bo Grant and Fanny Zalai as well, Kirsten Casper and Beth Potter.
Parker, you've given that short shoot there to Taylor Spivey. No great surprise there. She's right in there. Arguably, the run is a weaker leg. Is that the equaliser? Is that what can get her the win today?
Absolutely. I mean, I knew Taylor was going to be there at the end. She's super consistent over these races, and she always gets stronger as the race goes on. So I think that this could really set her up for a win, and I really want to win on home soil.
Well, everybody does, and we're heading to the home soil of Georgia Taylor Brown and Liv Mathias next week, or 2 weeks' time, sorry, as we arrive back in London, and that's always a fantastic race on the calendar. Do not miss that one. But who leads into that one is anyone's guess at this point. 5 athletes eliminated, and we are close to the zenith of this race.
Well, it's important for this lead group now just to keep up the pace because they don't want to lose seconds, because with the likes of Cassandra Beaugrand and Jan Lahair in the chase group, they're both capable of running, well, I'd say 10 seconds into Olivia Mathias, Jess Fulliger as well. But those athletes have ridden and raced so well here today. But Olivia Mathias is very much an improving athlete, as is Jess Fulliger. They both raced well last weekend, finishing 6th and 7th. So I think they'll be one step closer to where they want to be in terms of fitness to get on the podium in Supertri. Georgia Taylor Brown now on the front there, Jess coming up to the side as well. But just a few seconds to go in this final bike lap before they head out onto the final run. And it looks to me like that group behind Will has just kind of sat up a bit. It's lost momentum. It's
10 seconds now. Was 7 seconds. Was 7 seconds. Now 10. And a group of 4, especially with 3 athletes like Fulliger, Mathias and Taylor Brown, who know each other so well and know decisions that they're going to be making on the bike. And Taylor Spivey, an athlete with so much experience, means they can work together really well, and they get on really well, so they can all share the work at the front. And they've turned that 7-second gap into 10, which is not nothing as we head into the final part of this race, the last run. 1.6 Ks to go, 2 laps. 2 of these athletes have the short shoot, Spivey and Mathias, and we're going to see them take it. And then the other 2 will be fighting to make sure they stay somewhere on this podium. So, short shoot to be taken by Mathias and Spivey. They both take it. There they go. And you reckon that's, 3-4 seconds gap now. And Spivey will be desperate to not come 4th in this one. The others will be desperate equally to make it an all-British podium with potentially 2 Brownlee athletes. Let's see if Taylor Brown can run her way back up. And there is Cassandra Beaugrand, who has broken away from the chasers. Potter and Lahair behind them.
Yeah, Jess, that little gap she has already been eaten up by the Olympic champion.
You see the gap that Beaugrand managed to get on Potter just by virtue of having the other short shoot?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little stroke of genius. It will, Macca will say, or Chris McCormack will say, that it is if in fact he ends up with 2 athletes on the podium. As Taylor Brown moves to the front and Spivey tucks in behind. Mathias is having the race of her career. She's had some great ones, but to sit in between Taylor Brown and Spivey is a great effort from Liv Mathias, as Beaugrand is stalking them after 8th last week. A disappointing result by her own incredibly lofty standards. And Kate Woff joins the list of eliminated athletes now. 6 of the 16 are not going to make it to the end of this race.
Well, Macca did say, didn't he, the manager from Crown Racing, that Cassandra Beaugrand wanted a win today. She's had a taste of great success with that gold medal in Paris. And she's really enjoying the form she's come into as she rounds that final bend. But all the athletes now very, very hot, very, very tired as they head into this last mile loop.
Chris, Georgia Taylor-Brown, such a Rolls Royce of a racer. She's gone out the front. Has she got the power here to hold on? She's got the class for sure.
Oh, without question, she's looked really good all day. It was tough to give the short shoot to Cass, but we had a team decision that whoever won the short shoot, if we're in the front group, we allocated to the member who won. So she felt confident and looks great, but it's not over yet. It's a long way to go.
Non, Olivia Matthias, it's an incredible race from her. She's dropped a little bit off of Georgia. Is there a way back for her here?
I mean, she's having the race of her life here. She can hold on for a podium if she keeps running the way she's been running all race. So fingers crossed, she got the short shoot. I think that's helped. But obviously Cass is chasing pretty hard. So it'd be Liv's first podium, so I think she'll be very motivated by that.
Great insight there, and what a run it has been from Cassandra Beaugrand, who has left Jean Lahair and Beth Potter behind and moved up into third position ahead of Liv Matthias. And it'll be sad for Liv Matthias if she gets run down by those behind her, or equally doesn't end up on the podium, because she's had such a great race. Meanwhile, Georgia Taylor-Brown and Cassandra Beaugrand make it a Crown 1-2 with 800 metres to go, and Crown has come from nowhere with the more fancy teams. And no short shoots left, just a straight shoot to the finish.
You know what, I just think that Taylor-Brown is not going to want to get another silver medal again this week, and she's going to really push for home over these last 800 metres. Cassandra Beaugrand, such a fluid, lovely runner, but maybe just looking a little bit hot now as Taylor Spivey tags onto her shoulder. Olivia Matthias has had to drop back into fourth, still having a fantastic race, but Georgia Taylor-Brown looking really, really smooth at the moment, but she's the athlete that's being chased.
Liv Matthias, her partner Alex Yee, is going to take to the course in not too much time at all. The Olympic gold medalist, and another chapter it'll be in that rivalry between heated Hayden Wild. But I think athletes with big swims like a Max Stapley or a Matt Hauser are going to have good races here today as well. But at the moment, it's all Georgia Taylor-Brown, and it's all the big Bahrain Victorious 13 logos on the front of the Crown Racing suits of Taylor-Brown, three-time Olympic medalist, and Beaugrand, reigning Olympic champion. And also with an Olympic silver medal, Taylor Spivey is looking for a spot on the podium, and she'll still want that second spot at the very least, because she is still matching it in the second lap of this run with Beaugrand. Matthias is all alone in fourth at the moment, and Jean Lahair looking to run her down. But it looks like Jean Lahair is going to relinquish her lead in the championship, with Taylor-Brown finishing second last time out.
Oh, this is a good run from Georgia Taylor-Brown. I noticed she just glanced over her shoulder a second or two ago. That's also always a bit of a telltale sign that an athlete is getting tired. And it looks like Cassandra Beaugrand has just picked up the pace a little bit. They've got, what, around about 400-500 metres to go, and it's got to be the fastest of Georgia Taylor-Brown if she's going to stay away from the Olympic champion, because she's picked up the pace, and it looks to me like she's really starting to work it now.
Beaugrand is trying to push up to the back of Taylor-Brown. Taylor-Brown had a look behind her, which usually isn't a good sign, but I think Beaugrand's going to run out of road, but she is really punching it to try to find Georgia Taylor-Brown. If it's a 1-2, Cassandra is going to want to have the top spot, but I don't think she's going to. Taylor-Brown second last time, twice a champion. She's getting closer though. Spivey looks to have third wrapped up, but Beaugrand is trying to chase down Georgia Taylor-Brown. Matthias in fourth.
We've got about 150 metres to go now, Will, and I've got my heart in my mouth for Georgia Taylor-Brown. I really have. Can she do it? Can she do it? She's still got a decent gap.
I think she is going to do it. She heads onto the black carpet. Georgia Taylor-Brown, one of the great triathletes of modern times, 3 times an Olympic medalist, twice a Supertri champion, makes the turn she's made so many times before. In the front, and for Crown Racing, it's going to be Georgia Taylor-Brown, and it's going to be a 1-2 for those in red, with Cassandra Beaugrand improving on her 8th to pick up 2nd. Taylor Brown heading into the lead of the championship, and Taylor Spivey taking 1 step up onto the podium in 3rd at home. Liv Matthias finishes in 4th. What a great race from her best in Supertri, and you can see how much she's put in. And Jean Leher, the winner last week, relinquishes the lead. She finishes in the top 5. And Beth Potter, who worked hard all day, finishes in 6th position overall. 32 seconds it was in the end. And Fanny Zalai with another top 10. We will be saying that name for many, many years. Zalai finishes 7th behind the world champ by 8 seconds. And that is an incredible performance from a 16-year-old who bests Jess Fulliger, who pushed and pushed and pushed and was a factor throughout the racing, especially on the bike. Kirsten Casper finishes nearly a minute in arrears.
I see smile. All of these incredible athletes, guys.
And it's all about cooling down now and recovering, because it is hot here in Chicago. And the racing has equalled it. What an effort. Alice Beto comes across the line in 10th position, a minute and 18 seconds back. She was almost a time trial for her. She lost the group early on and was forced to do it all on her own to finish in the top 10. The Italian for Brownlee Racing. So 4 athletes in the top 10 for Brownlee, but not a single discipline point for Brownlee Racing as GTB tries to cool down. So all 4 athletes from Brownlee in the top 10, but none on the podium. Crown 1 and 2, and then Taylor Spivey in 3rd. We're going to look back at the story of this race, and over 50 minutes, how much action do you want to fit in? Let's take a look. And Vittoria Lopez did what she did last week in Boston and led out of the water. The Brazilian picked up the 4 points for her team. Cassandra Beaugrand needed to make her presence felt in this one. She wasn't really a factor last week, and by the time it got to the second swim, she was out of the water first, and we started to see a little bit more of that Redder Crown racing at the front. It was all about the athletes cooling down. Zalai tacked on to the back of a group of 9, with Jess Fulliger heading off the back and then tacking back on. Liv Matthias, who got awarded the short shoot from non-Stanford, was at the front for good parts of the race. Short shoot was taken by Spivey and Matthias in that group of 4, but it didn't stop Taylor Brown and Beaugrand from supplanting them at the top when it mattered. And what a race that was. Head down now to Taylor Spivey in 3rd.
Taylor Spivey back on the podium. How does that feel?
Oh, it feels so good. I mean, you know, I always seem to get 4th place, so just being in the top 3 is just, you know, really satisfying.
How important was that last bike for you?
I knew I was good in transition, but I kept getting blocked behind people. So this last transition, I tried to navigate a bit better, and that made all the difference.
Great stuff. Congratulations, Taylor. 3rd place here. Cassandra, a better race than last weekend, but you didn't just have enough to catch Georgia Taylor Brown. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm very proud. Last week was very hard, but the goal was to win with the team, so I was happy Georgia took the win today.
It's seriously hot out here, isn't it?
Yeah, so much.
Congratulations, Cassandra. 2nd place here today in Chicago. Georgia, what a race. I'm so happy for you. What does it feel like to be back on top of the podium?
It's really nice to be back on top. Yeah, I forgot what it's like to lift the tape. It's a nice feeling, but it's so hot out here. So all the girls did incredible, and yeah, just boys, be very careful.
How hard did you have to dig over those last 400 metres?
So hard. When I got back onto Taylor and Livy, I knew I just had to go around them straight away and just hang on for 20 seconds, and then I know that that's when it starts to split. So I just backed myself.
Congratulations, Georgia. You are the champion here today.
Thank you.
A 4th Supertri win for Georgia Taylor Brown, an 11th podium as well for the most awarded Olympic triathlete or female triathlete in history. She's been such a factor in Supertri over the years, and she is now your points leader and the winner today. Crown 1 and 2. Chris McCormack's going to be incorrigible tonight in the wash-up. Taylor Spivey moves from 4th to 3rd. Liv Matthias, great race from her. Jean Lahair, Beth Potter. Fanny Zalai with an incredible 7th from Jess Fulliger in 8th. The thing about Supertri is that the action just does not stop. So as soon as the women come across the line, the Olympic champion comes out to set up his incredible purple Trek bike. Alex Yee will be looking to make it 2 wins from 2. He ran away from Hayden Wild, ran away from the entire field, actually, last week in Boston. Can he do the same? Tim Hellwig on debut in Boston last week. The German mixed team relay gold medalist from Paris. And didn't he have a great race to finish in the top 5, Hellwig? And you don't finish 4th on debut without being an incredible athlete. There's no doubt about that, as he has a chat with Vasco Velasa, who didn't have a great race, was sick last week, wasn't a factor, and his team, Stars and Stripes, are going to need him to have a seriously big one as the crowd continues to build to watch this men's race, and they've come with placards and plenty to say to our athletes. And we head down now to the medal ceremony. Medal ceremony for the women's with Georgia Taylor-Brown on the top step. 2 athletes from Crown. We'll head down now to listen in.
Chicago Triathlon for Lurie Children's Hospital. In 3rd place, from the United States, representing Stars and Stripes, Taylor Spivey.
The USA chant rings around Chicago lakefront. And why not? Taylor Spivey happy with this one, and the crowd loving it too.
In 2nd place from France, representing Crown Racing, Cassandra Beaugrand.
Happy to do her job for the team after last week, and why not? A silver medal, well deserved from Cassandra Beaugrand. Her form on the run, outstanding.
In 1st place, and Supertri Chicago champion from Great Britain, representing Crown Racing, Georgia Taylor-Brown.
Georgia Taylor-Brown went, I think, 7 or 8 races on the podium in Supertri without a win, and now has picked up her 4th in a 6-year stint with the world's top short course series. And once again on the top step, and shares it with her old sparring partners, Cassandra Beaugrand and Taylor Spivey. So a confirmation then of the standings, and with 14 last week, 15 this week, 2nd and 1st, Georgia Taylor-Brown has a 3-point advantage heading into her home race in London. Jean Lahair with 26 points with her 11 today. Taylor Spivey sitting in 3rd, which is good for her to not be in 4th. Cassandra Beaugrand moves up from 8th to 4th from Liv Matthias. Kate Woff, difficult race today, but finished 3rd last week. So she is on equal 6th with Jess Fulliger from Perio, Potter and Beto. Well, it's not just racing at the pro end here in Chicago. Biggest short course race in the USA, and 10,000 athletes have taken it on, including the kids race that started off the weekend.
It's super nostalgic. I mean, I spent most weekends of my childhood summers in races like this, just developing a love for the sport.
I grew up like 2.5 hours from here, so it's really neat to see the next generation of triathletes. Now I'm in a role where I feel like I can give back to them, so it's really inspiring to be here and see them doing their thing.
There's so many kids here competing, and I really wish I'd done triathlon from such a young age, but I didn't. But it's really cool to see them all, and most of them look like they had a good time out there.
For me, it's a pleasure that I can be there. For me, it's always a goal that inspiring athletes. So one of my goals is getting real.
I can just remember like it was back in the days when you were this kid without a tri-suit trying to get your t-shirt over your wet body and trying to make a fast transition. It doesn't really work. So yeah, I can relate to them, and yeah, it's pretty inspiring to watch.
It's so special to hand out these medals at this event. I didn't do triathlon as a kid, but growing up I did do other kids events, and I think having something like this is so important for your development.
How good to see the Chicago Triathlon Kids race. 700 kids as part of nearly 10,000 athletes taking this on. Meanwhile, the Teams League, we've had the update, and Crown Racing, who was 1 point behind Podium Racing, picks up the biggest haul and moves to 10 points in front ahead of the men's race. Podium Racing in second from 82 to 32, but that 32 is only the women's race, so we're only halfway through. Brownlee Racing finished second overall in that, and they had 4 in the top 10. They moved to 109, and Stars and Stripes managed to narrow the gap somewhat. You can see how windy it is in the Windy City as we move to the start list for the men's, and look at the quality of these names. And there's only one change. John Reed, who had a great debut for Podium Racing, makes way for Leo Berger, a former Supertri champion, a former world champion, and an Olympic bronze medalist as well. So what a team that is, with Dorian Connings, the 2023 world champ, Matt Hauser too. Vincent Lewis had a great race, as did Hayden Wild for Crown Racing in second, and Alex Yee beat everybody for Brownlee Racing, and that is 16 men of quality. Let's have a look and break it down with Stars and Stripes Racing first of all. And Vasco Velasco, we talked about him. He'll need to have a better race. He was sick last week. Quality athlete, the Portuguese. The German Tim Helwig, he had a great debut. Look out for him as well. Seth Ryder and Chase McQueen, two of the, well, I just want to say next gen, but they're the current gen of racing, leading the next gen as we head up to LA 2028. Seth Ryder, of course, part of the silver medal winning mixed team relay team for the USA. Chase McQueen, an accomplished super triathlete as well. Now, let's have a look at Crown Racing, and the name most synonymous with Supertri, Vincent Lewis. Been off the ball last couple of years. He's come back with a bang, the two-time champ, and finished in the top 5. Hayden Wild, of course, bested by Alex Yee, and the rivalry continues here. Max Stapley, well, he'll be looking for a better race here in this choppy water, the super swimmer, and Vettler Bergsvik Thorn as well, the Norwegian. But Vincent Lewis, well, he caught up with Annie Emerson, and he is full of confidence heading into this one.
Vince, great race last weekend, 5th place, so close to the podium. So what are your thoughts ahead of this race in Chicago this weekend?
Yes, last weekend was good. I mean, 5th is not the podium or is not the win, but I was getting closer after 2 years not racing Super League. Yeah, this course I think suits me a bit better. It's a pontoon start and not a beach start, and also the race a bit more technical and narrow. So yeah, I'll play my cards. And now, you know, I blew out the cobweb a bit last weekend. So yeah, I'm ready.
Do you think Vince is back to the 2018-2019 Super League Series winners best?
Well, you know what, that's a good question. I think my speed is still there. I think it's the same as I was in 18, 19, and I can see in the splits in the races that I'm as fast as I was almost 10 years ago. But these kids, they're just too fast now. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to be smart, be tactical, try to beat them, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. But for sure, I'm the oldest on the start list, but hopefully I'll be on the top of another podium.
Good luck, Vince.
Thank you.
Vincent Lewis, same pace that took him to the World Championship and 2 Supertri Championships, but the kids have gotten faster. The game has kept improving, and Matt Hauser and Dorian Connings and Leo Berger and Kenji Nina, all part of that group. Connings, the 2023 World Champion, Berger, the 2022 World Champion, and Hauser, a multiple Supertri race winner, Commonwealth Games gold medalist as well, and 7th in Paris. Kenji Nina had a great result in Paris as well, races for Japan, but grew up in Perth, Australia. So a couple of Frenchmen, a couple of Aussies, one of them racing for Japan these days. And finally, Brownlee Racing as well. And this lineup is led by Alex Yee, the Olympic gold medalist. Many saying that he could end up as one of the greatest of, if not the greatest of all time, short course athletes. An incredible run, but a massively improved swim and bike is seeing him lead from the front week in, week out. Sergio Cabrera, Hugo Milner, who had a great race last week, and Connor Bentley lead Brownlee Racing with Non Stanford, the manager. We head back down now to Adam Leach with Non Stanford.
Non, what a big week it's been for Alex. I mean, so much controversy around that finish with Hayden Wild. How's he been this week? How's his mind been focused?
Alex has been Alex, you know, he's unfazed by most things. I think he was initially a little bit worried that he'd upset Hayden because he doesn't, you know, he's such a nice guy, he doesn't like to do that. But I think ultimately it's given him more focus, more determination to go out there and try and win again. I think it was a bit unnecessary, some of the comments. At the end of the day, they're racing, they're putting their heart and soul into it, and why can't he celebrate? Hayden always flaps his wings when he wins, so it's a bit of fun. We're trying to put on a show for everybody here, and I think people should take it at that and sort of keep their not very nice opinions to themselves, to be honest with you.
And a really quick one, Non, then, that shouldn't overshadow the rest of your team. What tactics have you sent them out with here?
So we actually had some really strong performances last week. Sergio Baxter, young gun, really stepped up and had a great race. I think similar to the women, last week we just wanted to go out there, get a feel for the racing, learn what everybody else was doing. So this week we have a few more tactics, sort of going for some more of the individual discipline points. You know, we've got Hugo Milner out there, Harvard graduate athletics runner, so hopefully he can pick up some run points for us.
Imagine being a Harvard graduate and also one of the best triathletes in the world. Ugh, makes me sick. Hugo Milner, what an incredibly accomplished human. Had a tough race, but a good race last week. And there is Alex G, the Olympic gold medalist.
One more time.
Who will be the man to beat and the man they will all be looking at. So one race down here in Chicago. It's only hotter now. A couple of degrees up and the racing's going to get hotter as well. Brownlee Racing closest to you. And then we have the four men from Crown Racing, Stars and Stripes, and Podium Racing on the outside. The current going from right of screen now to left, pushing people down towards the point. 2 left-hand turns, 300 metres. Let's get it underway. It's going to be a really big one. Now, if you're just tuning in, there is a short shoot, a little shortcut available at the end of the first swim, bike and run that gives an athlete 3 or 4 seconds at the back end of the race on the final run, so plenty to play for right in the first swim, bike and run of this one. Into the water they go, these old sparring partners, all 16 of them who have done this many, many times before and know exactly what it takes to get out quick, stay in front, and it looks like Matt Hauser of Podium Racing on the left-hand side is leading early doors, so the fastest swim, bike and run of the day also wins points for the teams, and the teams race is very, very important. The bulk of the prize money this year going to the teams over individuals, which means teams working together, which means really interesting tactical racing as the podium athletes have all had a fantastic start.
They're dominating this swim, aren't they? I was just looking there, and it's 4 athletes, all the athletes from Podium Racing up there in the front. Lea Berger back racing this weekend, the bronze medalist from Paris. The 2023 Supertri series winner is up there, and this is going to be an interesting swim, interesting tactics. There is one athlete in there, isn't there, from Stars
Chase
and Stripes.
McQueen, I think, on the left.
Yeah, the eSports World Champion 2024 back in April. He won that title. He's yet to really find or stamp his mark down on the series. Could it be today? He was 8th overall in 2023 and eliminated last weekend.
The athletes that were on the right-hand side of the pontoon, that is Podium and Stars and Stripes, basically filling up the first 8 spots there. And you can see Vincent Lewis in red on the left, on the right Max Stapley from Crown Racing. So certainly the right-hand side of the podium, as you're looking out to the lake, was the fastest, at least in the men's. It wasn't so much in the women's, but there's a couple of really, really strong swimmers in the women's, so that kind of mixed it up. But I think the right-hand side was the place to be.
Definitely looks like it was. Hauser leading the way, pushing the pace on. I think there's team tactics going on with Crown Racing, with Stapley being asked to stay behind with Vincent Louis, perhaps give him and Hauser a little bit of support on the bike.
Okay, already a couple of 100 metres down. We've made the 2 turns and we're heading from home. So if you're tuning in, you can see at the bottom of your screen exactly what is going to happen in this race. 3 swim, bikes and runs. back-to-back, and then the checkered flag, and there's about 50 minutes of racing between here and there. Those little symbols that say SC are for the short shoot. So the first athlete across the mount line after the first swim and bike will pick up a short shoot, and the dismount line after the first run. Now that short shoot goes to the team, and then midway through the race, the team managers will decide, depending on how the race is playing out, which athlete gets the short shoot from that team. And the little symbols of the teams will go up there so you know exactly which teams have got them. And then when we know, the athletes will have that symbol next to their name. And it's probably a 3 or 4 second advantage as a shortcut on the opening of the final run. And you can see that little SC symbol on the final run there on the back of the athlete that's running towards that checkered flag. But we've got plenty of action to go between now and then. And Hauser and McQueen, I think, are the two athletes that are neck and neck. Also, the fastest swim, which is usually the first swim, always the first swim, is worth 4 points for the team, whoever gets out of the water first. So these two are looking to take that one, and they head up. Hauser slightly ahead, and they're going to head up a very steep ramp. McQueen, and they're pushing and shoving to try and get up there, and I think it was Hauser just. And there was a few elbows thrown, wasn't there? Wow.
Well, there was a few elbows going on there from Hauser, and Chase McQueen can't find his bike. He's ran straight past it.
What happens when you get elbowed by Matt Hauser, biggest athlete in terms of stature out there, and now it's about who gets the short shoot, and it is going to be Hauser and Podium Racing, and Tim Dodd loves it, doesn't he?
Oh, he absolutely does such a good job. He really does, and he absolutely loves it as Chase McQueen jumps on his bike. A nice, tasty swim from Kenji Naina as well, who was telling me... A tasty swim. He wasn't happy with a tasty swim he had there, Kenji Naina, racing for Tim Don's team, and he wasn't happy with his result last weekend. So he wants more this weekend as the athletes now start to put their feet in their shoes and do the Velcros up. Some of them will do almost a lap before they get them all sorted out. But it's Vincent Luis leading that little chase pack at the moment.
Speaking of being unhappy, when you look at the teams, Brownlee Racing sitting in 12th, 14th, 15th and 16th of 16. So there's not much between the whole field, but all 4 of the Brownlee athletes are in the bottom 5, Milner, Bentley, Yee and Baxter. So tough for them. Meanwhile, at the front, there are 4 podium athletes in the top 6. Hauser, Nina, Connings in 4th, Berger in 6th, and they're split by McQueen from Stars and Stripes, and Vincent Lewis is the lead Crown Racing athlete at the moment. But, well, it's only leg 2 of 9, so we've got plenty of time to go.
It's
a tough start for Brownlee.
It is, isn't it? Indeed. And I think this swim has caused a few problems for some of the athletes. The wind has definitely picked up. There's more chop on the water, and we talked about it in the women's race as well. A lot shorter run up from your swim exit into transition. We're just having a look at the front of this race. Is that Chase McQueen or is that Vasco Velarza?
Velarza.
It is Velarza there.
I'm afraid you see the goggles around his neck because he knows, well, there's another swim coming up soon enough. So now the question is, we've got to work together to try and gap Hayden Wild, who's 12 seconds in arrears, and Alex Yee, who's 15 seconds back after the swim. We need strong swims. Let's work together, take the 2 fastest guys out of the race as much as we can, put as much time into them as we possibly can, as Hayden Wild is now tacked on, you can see there, in the back of this front group of about 10, 11 athletes. Behind Vetla Thorne, there's Thorne, and there's Wild right behind. So he'll want to make sure he's part of any group at the front, and Alex Yee isn't. That is the question.
Well, Vasco Velarza was really disappointed. 5th place finisher in Paris, eliminated last weekend. He had been unwell, but certainly not unwell today as he leads this race and races round that 180 degrees turn at top speed.
Moment there, no? Little moment there from Velarza. He came in, just lost the back a bit.
And he's had crashes before. He did in the Hamburg World Triathlon Championship Series earlier on this year. Rather, it wasn't Hamburg, it was Yokohama. But
we'll head down now to Adam Leach, who's got a couple of the managers.
Tim, a little bit of argy-bargy coming out of the swim there. Matt gave Chase a little bit of a nudge, but he got the short shoot. Fair enough?
Yeah, I mean, you know, these guys have got so much respect for each other, but they want to win. They want to be the fastest. And you know what? Chase had a shocker last week. Fair play, but go Maddie.
Well, Parker, should Chase just have been a bit tougher? Should he have been a bit harder there?
No, I thought that was great. Chase is on a redemption race right now. Last week he got eliminated. This week he's out for some redemption. And in the U.S. we like to say bumpin's racing.
I was hoping he was going to turn to Tim Don and say, mate, let's throw elbows as well here. Can't be doing that. But
what
anyway.
Did you say? Bumping's racing.
Bumping's racing.
I like that one. I haven't heard that one before.
I feel like that's a NASCAR thing to say. Rubbin's racing. That's what they say. No, I was watching it last night. Don't have any idea what's going on in NASCAR. This is the real racing in the US at the moment. And that group getting bigger as Dorian Connick's 2023 world champion, reigning world champion, leads a group that has a lot of white from Stars and Stripes and Podium. Speaking of redemption racing, Velasquez having one too. He wants to be a figure at the front of this race. He's been really strong, Vasco Velasquez. I don't think he's ever won a Supertri race.
No, he's got a third in Malibu and was fourth overall in 2021. But yeah, he took some time out to focus on the Olympics, where he finished in 5th place. But he loves this style of racing, as we can see now. And I think that the smaller, petite athlete races well on this bike course, because it is, the bigger you are, I think the harder it is to get around these little chicanes and twists and turns. Dorian Connick, who was third last weekend, is sitting in second place. He's a tall athlete, but not having any problems with this bike course right now.
No, and I'll tell you what, you just saw them come down that ramp. I went there yesterday and had a look at how wide that gap is, and it's about 1.5 meters, I think, to try and come in at 30-something kilometres an hour and then head down a ramp through barriers that are 1 metre apart. They're making it look much easier than what it is. I was on my bike, I was going about 4 kilometres an hour and just tiptoed through there. It was not easy, and these guys are making it look incredibly easy. Hayden Wilde's moved his way up there into the top 5, so he's pushed past a group there, and I think he'll want to run up the front and then find some feet on that second swim, which traditionally for athletes that are not super swimmers is very, very tough.
Yeah, a little bit of a difficult start for Yi, and they find themselves a good few seconds back. We know what he can do on the run, but you don't want to find yourself that far back at this stage in the race.
So bike lap 2, Alex Shear was 15 seconds back out of the water on the first lap of the bike. He's 11 seconds back now, and he's got his teammates working with him. Max Stapley, the only athlete in the bottom 5 who isn't from Brownlee Racing. So that group of all 4 Brownlee athletes are in a group of 5 with Stapley that are 7 seconds behind this lead group. So Brownlee Racing are out for a team ride at the back, and they are not making too much of a dent. You can see them there, 4 blue and a red in the middle.
Yeah, it's a tough start for this race for Alex Shee, because he's going to be having to expend a lot more energy than he would like to on the bike. He is. He's got good company with Sergio Baxter. He was 6th last weekend, so he will be there supporting his teammate for sure. Hugo Millia as well, who was 10th last weekend, is there with Yi.
All right, let's head down now to Non Stanford, and Adam's going to ask her why she's at the back.
Non, Alex, a little bit further back, but has he got his team working for him here?
Yeah, definitely. You know, the boys will all be working together to get Alex back to the front there. They unfortunately had bad swims. They were the last 4 onto their bikes. So I know Sergio will be helping, and Connor was just about to bridge back on. Hugo's off the back, so maybe our tactics change with Hugo, and he's going to have to go for some run points.
Yeah, you can see there Hugo Milner way back now. He's about 11 seconds behind the 15th place athlete in Connor Bentley. So the group together, and at the front we have Vincent Lewis, who wants to take the second short shoot, which means he needs to cross the mount line. So it's after transition. Wants to give Crown Racing a short shoot, and he wants to be handed that short shoot by Chris McCormack too, as he gets a little shower of the water. It's about taking that transition, but it's going to be Velasquez, is it? It is a great transition from Vasco Velasquez, and Stars and Stripes picks up short shoot number 2.
And it looked to me like Hayden Wild missed his bike stop and tried to put his bike with the Stars and Stripes. Goodness knows what he was doing there. He came in first and leads transition right at the back of this pack.
Oh, good pick up, Annie. I didn't see that, but Hayden Wild, you can see he's back there behind Dorian Connick. Velasquez picked up another one for Stars and Stripes, so it's down now to Wild, who's trying to squeeze his way past Connick and into this group. And there you can see Velasquez on the front of the Stars and Stripes. On his left is Vincent Lewis. On his right is Kenji Nina and Matt Hauser. And then Leo Bergier sitting from Hellwig, Wild, Connix. Then Vettler Thorne, who's having a better race. Seth Ryder's all on his own, trying to tag onto the back of this big group. And behind them, Chase McQueen looked like he was almost limping a little bit. You can see McQueen behind.
He struggles on the run a bit, doesn't he? I mean, he's such a talented athlete, but he hasn't quite got the run on the road. We know he's got it on the treadmill. We've seen him in the Supertri World Championship event in London early on in this year, which he won. But at the moment, it looks to me like he's going backwards.
Yeah, and here comes the Yee train. Maybe he just looks like he's going backwards because Alex Yee's running after him. And Alex Yee, obviously, you know, he's run a sub-28-minute 10K and became the British 10K champion. He has got the wheels, and we've seen it time and time again. So, Wild will be looking to keep this pack away from Alex Yee, and Alex Yee and the rest of the Brownlee boys will be looking to track them down. You can see Wild there on the left, tucking in behind his teammate Vincent Lewis, and Vettler Thorne's trying to become a factor in this race as well. There is Yee leading Baxter, then Stapley, then McQueen, and then Bentley. And to the right of your screen, making the turn at the top, Hugo Milner, who'll be trying to take those run points for the fastest run of the day now.
Well, he's going to end up doing what he did last weekend, and that was basically racing the whole race on his own, but still managed a 10th place position. But he's not going to like this bike course. Very tall athlete, and he said he's still got a lot of work to do on the bike as he's crossed over from a runner to a triathlete.
Yeah, the bigger you are, the more wind resistance there is, but Matt Howes is not worried about that. Kenji Nina's having a good one too, and it's good to see the 31-year-old who had a great result in Paris, finished in the top 15 after his 14th in Tokyo, so he's good when he steps up to the big races. And he makes way for Hayden Wild to make it 2 Crown athletes in the top 3. Seriously, I don't think that is doing anything at all, Chris McCormack, just squirting people with water as they run past. But anyway, a stumble there from Bergier as he made the turn. As this group ups the ante. We'll head down now to Adam Leach. He's with Chris McCormack.
Chris, Hayden Wild there, a slightly uncharacteristic transition there, but he's got himself back in. What happened?
I think you never need to worry about Hayden. He can be sloppy in transition, but he's got so much power and acceleration on swim and bike to get back on. I think we saw the opportunity with Alex Yee off the back, Max Stapley with him. He got told to do no work, and that forced Alex to have to do all the work to try and close the gap, which he hasn't done. So this is a business end of the race. They've got to put the boot in now and try and isolate Alex, and we can sneak that win.
Yeah, we saw there he was 11 seconds back. It was 7 seconds back first, then 11. Now it's gone out to 16 seconds from Alex Yee off the leader, Matt Hauser. So this group is doing the work together, and they are sharing the load. And Hayden Wild has gone for the goggles on while he's still got like at least 500 metres to go.
I think there's still a lot to come in this race, I really do. The athletes were only just over 15 minutes in and they're already looking a little bit hot and tired, but Hayden Wild, he wasn't happy after last weekend, was it? With Alex Yee's little bit of showboating as he came across the line. We enjoyed it, but he didn't.
You know what? Non-Stanford makes an excellent point. Hayden Wild comes across the line, flaps his arms like the Falcon that he is, and that's his nickname, and we never say a single thing. I guess if he did that with Alex Yee directly behind him, might be different, but we want to see showmanship from these athletes. We want to see personality from these athletes, and I think that these guys are great mates off the course. We just got to see them give it all on the course, and maybe it'll be Hayden Wild doing the Falcon wings with Alex Yee right behind as he pushes, and you can see Max Stapley, not doing any work, so sitting back there, not pushing on the bike, and sitting behind Baxter Cabrera and Yee.
Helpful though for Yee to have Max there, because Max is a really decent swimmer, and I just think Alex Yee doesn't want to go this swim all alone. He's got Sergej Baxter, his teammate there. He'll have Max Stapley as well. It looked like they were running up onto the feet of Seth Ryder from Stars and Stripe Racing. Wild though looking very confident at the moment, but Matt Hauser for me had he had the fastest swim and the fastest run last weekend, and I kind of feel it's only a matter of time before we see him on the top of the podium. He's just put his hat and goggles on at the back of this lead pack at the moment, but I think this swim is going to be interesting.
I've got to agree with that. Hayden Wild, he knows that he wants to make sure that these athletes have to swim around him.
Dorian Connick
So,
leapt in front of
Crown
him,
Racing
though.
as well. He's also picked up the short shoot, which we almost forgot about. So Hayden Wild moves to the front. And Crown Racing get the short shoot as they all head down what is a very steep ramp. And straight past the photographer, takes the left-hand turn and jumps off the left, one of the Stars and Stripes athletes.
Oh, that was brilliant, wasn't it?
Darren Wheeler, the photographer, would have had his heart in his mouth for a second there, nearly got his head trodden on.
But a smart move there. We haven't seen any of the women. None of the women. They either went down the ramp, and I think we only saw Taylor Spivey doing that. The rest of them went to the right. That's Chase McQueen just heading out now onto the second swim, 300 metres, choppy waters. And they've just calmed it down a little bit now. Let's have a little look who's leading this race. We had into the water first was Dorian Connick.
All right, pace is right on at the front. Stars and Stripes are mixing it up. Parker Spencer, let's hear what he has to say.
Parker, it was a great start from Chase. You said he was here for redemption, but Chase McQueen now seems to be really struggling. What's going on?
Yeah, it just looks like he's having a little bit of an off day. He's about to jump in the water right now, and he's a very good swimmer, so I think he'll make up some time on the two Brownlee Racing guys in front of him. But we'll see. We just need to make sure he doesn't get eliminated last so he can still get some points.
All right, there you go. The insights from Parker Spencer. Now I'm hearing, and when Annie points to the screen, that means she's got something important to say. Annie, come on.
No, I just noticed that Dorian Connick doesn't have any goggles on. So whether he's...
I think he did that last week too.
Yeah, so some athlete, or very few athletes, are happy to go without the goggles.
Thank you.
But no, not for me either. I mean, the water here is crystal clear. It's beautiful, but I'd prefer to have goggles on, but not the Frenchman who's leading this race at the moment.
Yeah, so we're getting information that Max Stapley has a 5-second penalty because, and I just heard no cap, which is not, it's not Gen Z slang, because I'm hearing that's what the kids are saying. I have no idea what it means, but it's because he doesn't have a swim cap on. So 5-second penalty for Max Stapley. He'll serve that the penalty square in transition.
You down with the kids? I don't think so, Will.
No cap, Annie. No idea, mate. None at all. All right, Hugo Milner looks like we got confirmation that he did, in fact, pick up the fastest run. 2:28 it was compared to Hayden Wild's 2:33, second fastest time. So he'll pick up the run points, but he probably won't figure anywhere else in this race, really. Connor Bentley is 30 seconds in arrears, and in fact now, Milner's actually 28 seconds. So he's actually, with that run, made it back up to the group for the swim start. So Hugo Milner's had a huge run. He was well back, and now he's 28 seconds back and ahead of Connor Bentley. So Brownlee Racing is 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. When we headed into the water, we'll see what happens out of the water, but it looks like Vincent Lewis at the front.
He's got a massive engine, as we like to call it in sort of athletics term, Hugo Milner. He really has. I was so impressed with his racing last weekend. There's the cap. How did he forget that cap?
Sad it looks, just sitting there. No cap, Annie.
It seems a bit unfair, though, doesn't it, to say, how did he forget it? I mean, these guys are absolutely in the red, and this heat here just making it twice as difficult as it would normally be, as we look at Vincent Louis now, so smooth through the water and effective.
Frenchmen together,
really
hey?
is.
There is Vincent Lewis at the front, and the man who denied him a Paris Olympic spot, Dorian Connick's, just behind. A little bit of controversy around that one, because Connick's was coming back from a arm injury that he sustained in a crash in the lead up to Paris. Selected anyway, and Lewis comes out first. Connick second. So he'll do the last run without any goggles unless he can pick it up from the box. And Berger third. So the three Frenchmen out the front. The 2020 world champion in red, the 2023 world champion in Connick's in white, and then the 2022 world champion in Berger, the three Frenchmen.
Wow, are these guys going to work together? They're not all in the same team, but this could be interesting. 3 Frenchmen going out, 4 Frenchmen. That's Dorian. Let's have a look. No, that's Howder. Dorian. Let's Konix, Lewis, Kenji Nena having a great swim, and Berger are our top 4 at the moment. Seth Ryder has swam himself back into here.
Look at Stapley's swim, though. At 8 seconds, he crossed the gap. That is a huge swim from him, because he's left Alex G, Connor Bentley and Sergio Baxter behind and swum up to the group And he is tacked on at the back, and he's in fact ahead of Hayden Wild, and you can see the two of them working together, the Red Bull helmet of Wild.
So that was tactically brilliant from him. Not putting on his swim hat meant that he's picked up 5 seconds in a penalty, but he's pulled back a load and he's put himself back into this bike pack, which is going to make it a lot easier for him.
Well, swim cap's not going to. He didn't make a tactical decision not to put it on.
I don't know. We'll talk to him after the race.
Well, we should. You can head down there and talk to him. So what was the tactics behind forgetting to put your swim cap on there, pal? Kenji Nina on the front in the red helmet. He's looking for some help. Everyone's looking for some help when they're at the front. That's just basically what athletes do. We're going to head down now to Tim Don and talk to him about how his athletes are faring, and it's pretty good.
Tim, wow, podium racing right up here. What's the tactics here? Have you got team tactics, or is this every man for himself here?
We've got a few scenarios that we've gone over, and so far we've got 4 in the lead group. So it's about trying to send someone down the road and let other teams react to us so they can burn their matches. It's getting hot, so that's the plan on the bike.
And what a lovely problem to have here with the short shoot, with all these guys up the top. The return of Olympic bronze medalist Leo Berger this week, Dorian Connings, and then Kenji Nina. How do you allocate that?
I've got a plan, but I'm not ready to execute it yet. I want to see how they're going. I mean, Leo's come here, defending champ, but Dorian's our man on the GC at the moment, so we'll probably be between those two.
All right, there you go. Good problem to have, isn't it? Because in the top 4, as they came out onto the bike, 3 podium athletes. Then the sole red kit of Vincent Lewis. Then you've got 3 athletes from Stars and Stripes in Ryder, Helwig and Velasa. And at the back, Brownlee Racing remain, and it's 11 seconds.
Yeah, it's a difficult day, isn't it?
Between Hauser at the back of this group and Yee at the front of the next. And the thing about Alex Yee is he's have to push and push and push. He's been on the front for a lot of the chasing. So these other guys, Connor Bentley and Sergio Baxter, aren't necessarily dragging him to the front. He's having to do some work, is Alex Yee. And in recent times, he's been able to measure his efforts in the front.
Yeah, but he's a long way down the road now, and honestly, you wouldn't put anything past Alex Yee, the Olympic champion, but I think this is going to be a tough day for him, because looking back down the road, I can't even see him yet, and the problem being is that Alex Yee is, we can just see now...
He's on his own.
Yeah, he's on his own. He's had to drop his 2 teammates because he's stronger than they are. Let's have a look at our timing. Let's see where he is.
22 seconds back from the leader is Alex Yee, and he is not making that time. Meanwhile, Hayden Wild, his main rival, is able to sit at the back, take a drink, know that all of his athletes are there. All of those athletes from Crown Racing are together, and they're in that pack. And Hayden Wild knows that this is his best chance in recent times to get one back on Alex Yee. But of course, he's got world champions and Olympic champions all around him to worry about as well.
But I tell you what, I don't know if Hayden Wild will enjoy that. You know, he wants to beat Alex Yee sort of fair and square when they're neck and neck together.
I think he'll enjoy it.
I think you're probably right.
I think he'll be okay with it.
But we might have to say...
He wants to beat him in a sprint finish?
Yeah, I think he'd like to...
You know what? Just take it.
Yeah, he will take it. He'll be very 100%. Happy with it. But I think he's going to be disappointed if he does take the win and he hasn't been able to outsprint the Olympic champion.
That's true. Brownlee Racing also with no short shoot, the only team that doesn't have one. So does the short shoot from Chris McCormack go to Hayden Wild? Or does it go to Vincent Lewis, who's been more of a factor at the front? Does it indeed go to Max Stapley? Or it could go to Vetla Thorne, who knows? They're all there. As Connings hits the front as well, and 2 of them look at each other, he and Vincent Lewis, and he tucks in behind Matt Hauser.
So Alex Yee now sitting around about, what's that? I've got to do my maths, 18 seconds from the back of the pack.
And that was last time they went through transition, and you can see him in the back of shot there. He's come back to his 2 athletes. So he tried to gap his 2 teammates, but they've come back together in that section that's into the wind, and it's not easy. So we will see if it's bigger than 18 seconds the next time they come through transition, and then we will know whether this larger pack has been able to put time in. Sometimes a larger pack can be more disorganised, and everyone's looking at each other to do the work when you're at the front. And sometimes, if they are organised, they can share the work and gap those behind. And all of them will be interested in not running against Alex Yee at the back end of this race. So let's see if that has resulted in some organisation. It was 18 seconds, as we said. Will it be more than that? We'll see them cross over in just a second, and there they are, the three. Looks like a team time trial going on for Brownlee Racing there onto the black carpet. It was 18. What is it now? It's bigger. It's 21. So it gets harder for Alex Yee and his Brownlee cohort.
Oh, yeah, that's tough. I mean, Connor Bentley, Hugo Milner's back down the road. But Sergio Baxi's a great cyclist, trains with the 2018 Road World Champion, Alejandro Valverde. We know what he's capable of on the bike, but I just think they're all struggling today. And Alex Yee, so majestic last weekend, taking the victory from Hayden Weil after a mistaken transition and working his way back through the field. But at the moment, finds himself, well, 20 seconds plus down the road, so I can't really see Alex Yee coming back into this race now.
All right, Lewis still at the front, but also looking back and asking for a little bit of help. Now they head down at this point in the course towards what we're calling the hot dog stand, which is the far end of what is basically a hot dog shaped course out and back. And at this point in the race, and you can see it there, there's some difficult surfaces. There's a grate in the ground and there's a couple of steps. And it's not easy to negotiate. And I'm hearing that Tim Hellwig, let's have a look. So Tim Hellwig, he's in the white. He's come off there. You can see him hit the hay bale. And get back up, get back on his bike, and get back into the group. That is outrageous to be able to take a taste of the concrete and then get back up and remain in the group.
That is super impressive from the gold medal winner. He was part of that amazing team from Germany that took the gold medal in the mixed relay in Paris. So he certainly knows how to win races, and he certainly knows how to hit the deck and get back on his bike again.
He's made of tougher stuff than me. The moment I get a graze, I'm like, this ride's finished. I'm done here.
That doesn't surprise me, well.
I'm getting an Uber home. All right, back onto the black carpet. We're back to the halfway point of the race. We're getting close towards the business end now. And now it's about making sure you execute a really solid transition. Shoes on so hard when the heart rate is so high. And all those athletes from Stars and Stripes having a good one. Valasa with another excellent transition. And he leads out on this run from Tim Hellwig. The Hellman. I gotta think of a nickname for him after that. Stapley serves his penalty, doesn't like it either. He's an emotional athlete at the best of times.
But he would have known that, right? He knew he didn't have his swim hat on, so he shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, but you know, you're in the heat of battle, you remonstrate about things. I get it. I totally get it. Now, it was 18 seconds. It went out to 21. It's back to 17 seconds, the gap between Brownlee Racing and the rest. So a better second lap, third lap of the bike. And at the front, Valasa and Hellwig, and there's Seth Ryder who's run his way back up. So Parker Spencer, the man with two first names, he'll be very happy.
I have to give it to Vasco, only because if you notice, Tim went down on the bike, and he's got a lot of blood on the side of his arm. I think it could go either way with them, but I'm going to go with Vasco just because it's a little unknown with Tim right now.
There you go. Well, confirmation that for Stars and Stripes, Vasco Valasa will be the short shoot getter. And I think when you see your name up on the short shoot board, or you come into transition and you have short shoot, it's just a huge boost mentally for you to know that you've got this little thing in your back pocket that is going to help you at the back end.
Absolutely massive. And we've seen many athletes get the short shoot and then go on to win the race. So we know how much it can help athletes out. Good thing about Max being off the back, short shoes there has been given to Vasco. Good thing about Max Stapley being off the back there is it's given Alex Yee a little something to chase down now.
Right, Velasco and Wild on the front of this race, as he did last time, Hayden Wild. So, the Falcon flying at the front, Hayden Wild, and confirmation just in the last few seconds that Hayden Wild will be the short shoot receiver by Chris McCormack for Team Crown. So, He earns it, and just, I mean, maybe they have the same rule as they had in the women's, that if you earn the short shoot, then you get the short shoot. And that is what Chris McCormack did for Cassandra Beaugrand. That's what he's done for Hayden Wild and Matt Hauser from Podium Racing. So the Portuguese athlete, the Kiwi athlete, and the Aussie all pick up a short shoot. Hauser in the white to the right of this front group, Wild at the front in the red, and then off of his right shoulder is Vasco Valasa.
I don't know, I think that I'm looking at the camera angle here with the Olympic champion. He's still a way back, and the camera angle does foreshorten it. But it looks like he's pulling a little bit back into this. Luis rounding up the top 6 there, but you've got to take your hat off to Alex Yee, haven't you? He absolutely never gives up. Never gives up, honestly. And there I was saying he's not coming back into this race. Well, that's what we all said in Paris, wasn't it?
And now it's gone out to 9 seconds. So it's come into 9 seconds. So in that first lap of the run, Alex Yee has put the burners on, taking it from 18 or more seconds down to 9 seconds. Max Stapley has rejoined that group after he swum his way up into the front pack due to that penalty. You can see him back there. Vettler Thorne and Seth Ryder have been fighting all day. But at the front now, Kenji Nina in a group of what is 8 athletes at the front, and they will be worried about Alex Yee. You get 2 looks at him, at where he is, at either end of the course, and that is it.
And the fact that Kenji Nina, no disrespect for him, he's finished on the podium before, as he did in Toulouse in Supertri. He's not the fastest runner here, though. So looking at the fact that Hayden Wild's happy to sit in there, Léo Berger, bronze medalist from Paris, and the 2023 series winner, doesn't want to push the pace. So this is looking a little bit more interesting for Yee now.
Yeah, looking interesting for Yee, looking interesting as well for Non-Stanford, who hasn't been in this position before. Let's hear what she has to say.
Alex Yee looked out of it, but we should never count him out. He's half that deficit in a lap of the run. Can he get back on it?
I mean, he's the Olympic champion at the end of the day. You should never count Alex Yee out. But our tactics have switched, obviously. We have not having the day we hoped for. So Alex was going for run points. All the boys are going for run points. If we can take the clean sweep of the run points, then I'm brilliant, and we're definitely within the capabilities of doing that. And you can see Alex was nearly back up on Vettler Thorne. If Alex can get on the bike with Vettler Thorne, then he's got a really good chance of holding that gap and even making up even more places on the last run.
There you go, adapting on the fly like a good manager does. Connor Bentley's dropped off the back of the group, and there's going to be a group. We're going to be in basically 2 main groups, with Vettler Thorne and Seth Ryder coming back to the Alex Yee group, and then hoping to tuck in behind Yee as he makes his way to the front. Meanwhile, Hayden Wild, Kenji Nina, Vasco Valasa, Dorian Connix, Léo Berger, Tim Hellwig are the leaders of the race, and as usual, Wild. Well, he puts on his goggles early, just before everybody else, likes to get himself organised, although Vasco Valasa has joined him and the rest of them do the same. And Matt Hauser puts himself in this position again where he's got to swim around everybody in the final swim. He was the fastest swimmer last week, but it doesn't help when you've got to swim around everybody else.
He's just dropping off a bit. I think he's just slightly struggling in the heat. I mean, Wild looks so composed and together. He loves the heat, no problem with it at all as he races through transition now. He'll take the trainers off. They have to go in. They don't have to go in the box because they use them again, but they have to be down by the side of the box, as we can just see now the Alex Yee group with Vettler Thorne and Seth Ryder will be in there too, as our leaders now leap into the water.
Oh, we got one on the other side too, and the photographer's gotten out of the way. He knew that was coming. So we are back in the water for the final time, and now things are getting very, very interesting. Hauser, Wild, Valasa with the short shoots, but all of these athletes in with a big, big shot. We're back out to 15 seconds now. It went into 9. So from Lewis to that group with Thorne, Yee, Ryder and Baxter, we will have 15 seconds. So made up good time on the run and may indeed end up with the run points, but lost time on the second lap of the run. Meanwhile, Wild's at the front, and Chris McCormack will be very happy he made the right decision with the short shoot.
Chris, Hayden Wild out the front, looks really hungry today, and he's got the short shoot. Is anything stopping him from here, do you think?
And Alex Yee's off the back, so that's a lot of positives. But look, Matty Hauser looks strong. Vasco Valasa's back this week. I just think he's in the box seat to win it. I gave him that short shoot because he earned it. I was hoping I could give it to Vincent Louis because I thought he was probably the 4th or 5th better runner, but Vincent's got a big swim. I think Hayden's got today. Well, fingers crossed Hayden's got today because he needs it. Needs it for his head.
Well, it's the last swim, the last leg, a swim, a bike, a run to go, and these athletes out the front really starting to push the pace on. They will be aware that Yi has brought himself a little bit back into this race. He's still a good 15 seconds down on the back end of the lead group, but he does have company. He has Max Stapley just behind him. Seth Ryder is up there as well with Alex Yi.
4 athletes from podium racing in the top 8, so they'll pick up good points and they'll need it after the efforts of Crown Racing. This is in the teams race, of course, for a share, or the lion's share, of nearly $1 million for the teams race across the 5 rounds. Of course, we arrive in Neom, Saudi Arabia on November 3rd, but in 2 weeks we're going to be in London, and I cannot wait for that. It's going to be a huge race as always, and big crowds turning out to watch it. So if you're in London or in the UK and you're watching this and you want a taste of this action, make sure you head down to Canary Wharf in 2 weeks' time, because it is something to behold live, I tell you what. And at the front, podium racing continuing to be so strong in the water. Kenji Nina's having a race. He is having a race, the Japanese athlete.
He's worked incredibly hard this year, and he was actually a little bit disappointed with his Olympics, finishing in 15th position. He'd been away training with Christian Blumenfeld, the Olympic champion, Ironman world champion, and thought he had more in the tank. And I'm just wondering if all that hard work is starting to pay off for Kenji Nina here in Chicago.
Training with Christian Blumenfeld.
Can you imagine? No, I can't.
No. I ran with him one time. It was just horrible. And anyway, Max Stapley has tacked on the back again. So Stapley's having some swims, and he'll probably end up picking up some swim points as well for Crown Racing. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Alex Yi put himself into the run points with that first lap, 2:32, but he had a 2:42 on the second lap of that run that we had just before this. So that's why that gap went into 9 seconds and then went back out to 18.
It looks to me like we're going to see a handful more athletes in this lead pack. Kenji Nina doing a really good job here. Leo Berger is up there. Dorin Konitz dropped down a little bit.
How's the second out of the water? Nina out the first. Then it goes Berger, then Lewis, then Konitz with no goggles on. And they just come out of the water and they just get screamed at by everyone from about a foot away. And they're like, yeah, I'm going as fast as I can. Helmet goes on. Nina with the distinctive red helmet pulls out. Great transition from the Japanese athlete from podium racing. And he finds himself with a couple of seconds advantage as he heads out onto the final bike. 3 laps to go, 2 laps on the run, and a winner to be crowned. 1, 2, 3, 4 podium racing, 5, 6 crown racing, 7, 8, 9 stars and stripes racing. You couldn't script it any better for Tim Don.
No, you really couldn't. Interesting things happening here now. Yi looks to have dropped off the pace a little bit on the swim. He's gone back down to 27 seconds now, but Nina really pushing the pace on, and if you look between the difference between Yi and Wild, it's gone back to 19 seconds now.
I don't know if he can run that back, Alex Yi. He put in for the fastest run lap, and it might not be his day. And then the question is, how many athletes between himself at the front at this end? Confirmation of the swim points. I thought Stapley might have grabbed one. It wasn't. Hauser, McQueen and Konitz were the top 3. We'll head down now to Tim Don, who'll be so cocky.
Tim, podium racing, absolutely bossing this. And Kenji Nina off the front. Is he the dark horse in this race that everybody's overlooking?
I think so. I mean, I haven't overlooked him. And the great thing now is we have 3 athletes in that lead group, so they don't need to contribute to the work. Kenji can build a lead, and if he gets caught, we've still got 3 guys there. He swam so well. He held his position. He really is on for a good race.
He absolutely is on for a good race, and Tim will be enjoying this. He's the master tactician. He's down here before all the other managers. He looks at every single little wrinkle of a course, and anywhere where he can get even the most minimal advantage. And it looks like the top 6 positions are still all crown racing and podium racing at the front, although Vasco Velasa takes a drink at the back, and Seth Ryder has just battled all day. Seth Ryder, he's looked like he was in pain from the first run, and he is still there or thereabouts.
the athlete who's been sitting in this lead group the entire race from the very start, but really keeping himself out of trouble and being very quiet in there, is Leo Berger. So he didn't
does
race.
do that, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's a smart racer. So he didn't race last weekend in Boston. I think he chose to perhaps spend some time celebrating a little bit that bronze medal that he won in Paris. But don't overlook Leo Berger. Even though he didn't race last weekend, he comes into this race perhaps just a little bit fresher than some of the other athletes. And the 2023 Supertri Series winner, he knows how to win these races.
Okay, we're getting confirmation of more penalties, and this time it's Dorian Connings and Matt Hauser, 5 seconds. So, after we speak to Tim Don and he's happy with his athletes at the front, 2 of them have picked up penalties, and it's Hauser who leads right now, and Connings who is 3rd wheel or 4th wheel. Both of them will serve a 5-second penalty, so terrible news for the Aussie and the Frenchman, and for podium racing. Happy news for the rest, who'll just thin out the herd a little bit. Not to say that they can't stay in this one, but they'll come around on the next lap and realise that, and then how do they react?
Yeah, lap 2, just one more lap to go, a total of 4 kilometres per bike leg, and this is turning out to be an interesting race indeed. Ryder has been absolutely immense, sitting there in 9th position. We'll have to have a little look to see how far down the road he is, but I think they're pulling it back a little bit of time. I think this group here is getting quite fatigued now.
Have a look at the handlebars on Hayden Wild's bike when we get that wide shot. How bent in they are in an effort to just get a little bit more aerodynamics out of the front of the bike, because, you know, 9 times out of 10 he's at the front of the bike. So it's, you know, he spends his time in Andorra riding up vertical mountains with Cam Worth and Tom Pidcock, and that's how you become a great bike rider. It's the same way as going, oh, I'll go train with Christian Blumenfeld.
But he does, Wild also likes to spend time on his own. He is an athlete that is a bit of a loner, likes to do a lot of training on his own, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens now towards the end of this race. But Connings, who could have been a bit of a threat, he's got a 5-second penalty. Hauser's got a 5-second penalty. 2 athletes that perhaps could have challenged him, but it's playing into Wild's hands here in Chicago.
Yeah, Wild dealing with these wrinkles in the course, no problem whatsoever, and leading this one. So New Zealand, Australia at the front, Wild and Hauser. And Hauser with the penalty, he's going to see, or he's going to be told maybe on this time through. It might give him a chance to try and push at the front. But Tim Hellwig, having had an accident, now leads this race. I don't think we've seen that kind of thing since Georgia Taylor Brown hit the deck and won a race a couple of years ago. We'll head down now to Tim Don, who's had the bad news.
Tim, penalties for 2 of your athletes. You look really unhappy. Can you tell us why?
Not because of the penalties. It was clear that their swim hats were outside the box. The thing that's frustrating is Hayden's chain was off and the mechanic put it on. That is not a mechanical. That's him racking his bike too aggressively. And then the manager of Crown Racing altered someone's shoes. That's the 2nd time. So the first time you get a yellow card, the 2nd time 4-point deduction. But unfortunately, the team referee has said that the first one didn't count. So a very grey area, unfortunate. And yeah, it's just not cricket, as we say back home.
All right, Tim Don just hanging Chris McCormack out to dry there.
Not a happy chappy.
He's right about the rules, that if a team manager interferes with an athlete's gear, the first time's a warning, the second time's a 4-point deduction. But for some reason, the first one didn't count. So Tim Don watching like a hawk. You can't bat your eyelids down there in transition without Tim Don knowing about it.
Oh, no, you can't. That man is absolutely on it.
Speaking of on it, Velasa back at the front, head down, pushing hard. He's one of the smaller athletes, so a little bit less wind resistance. Nina sitting in on him, and just know the pace is on when it's strung out single file. Wild about 5th, 6th wheel. A Hauser there as well. And it's nice to see the Stars and Stripes at the front, at home here in Chicago, and Parker Spencer will be happy with that.
Parker, Vasco, Velata right off the front here, and with a short shoot. He came a little bit under the radar into this one. Has he got what it takes to make it to the finish on top of the podium?
Listen, last week Vasco was sick, coming back from being sick in Paris. And, I mean, he's, just like I said about Chase, Vasco wants some redemption today, and he's looking really good. I think he can win it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Any of these athletes could win it, and all of them have won in big races and performed on the bigger stage, and now it is just 1.6 kilometres to go, and Nina nearly lost his bike there, managed to pull it back. We've seen Velasa have that problem before, and he's the first out of transition again. So Vasco Velasa, if he does win, it's because of many things, but his transitions have been excellent. Now Hauser weighs 5, and next to him, Konix weighs 5. And they're going to have to try and run it back. But there's a gap between Wild, Velasa and the rest, and he's had time to put the cap on as well. Nina, Berger, Hellwig, then Lewis, then Hauser after the 5 seconds, then Konix behind him, and then Seth Ryder, who has been hanging on. And across the other side of the course goes Hauser for some reason. But Wild, he looks like Georgia Taylor Brown looked. He looked like he wants this to be his day. And Velasa, he looks like he wants to be on that podium again more than anything else. And there is your dark horse, Berger, leading the rest.
Oh, wow, what a run, what a race this is. I love the way Velasa there is just sitting on the shoulder of Wild. I don't know if he's got it in him to win, but honestly, he's such a strong young athlete with so much potential, and was so disappointed with last week's race when he wasn't well and was eventually eliminated. But I think with Wild, he gives nothing away behind those glasses. You really don't know what's going on.
Yep, you do not. You don't know whether he's hurting or not. And for those Alex Yee fans out there, as they came through transition, Alex Yee was 26 seconds back. So he needs to find a way to run back 26 seconds against athletes of this calibre. I'm not sure that even Alex Yee can do that over 1.6 kilometres.
No,
he was 6 seconds faster than Hayden Wild in the run last week. After a mistake in transition, I don't think he can turn 6 into 26.
No, best result, I think, Will, for Alex Yee is going to be top 10 today, because Max Stapley is alongside him. He can outrun him, no disrespect to Max, but and then the next athlete, Seth Ryder, in 9th position, 25 seconds ahead. So, but do you know what, hats off to Alex Yee.
That was the splits last time.
Yeah,
it's going to break up now. Having said that, I don't think he can get back into the top 9. That is the question. Now, just as there's a battle between Crown Racing and Stars and Stripes Racing at the front, so is there a battle between the two managers, and we're going to talk to them in a second. No doubt the question is going to be who wins. No doubt they're both going to say their own athlete, but Leo Berger is going to have something to say about that as well. He's dropped the chasers in 4th and 5th, which is, I think, Kenji Nina, and I think Hauser's run his way back into maybe 4th, has he? Does that look like Hauser's legs? I can't really tell.
Yeah, Hauser's back up there as well.
He's had a great run. He had the fastest run last week. He's done the same. He was back in about 8th position. Now he's in 4th, 9 seconds back. And here are the splits. Where is Alex Yee? How much time has he made up, and who is going to win this race?
So I just saw there Wild getting really cross with Vasco saying, come through, because it is windy out on this course. And at the moment, Wild is taking all the wind there and back. That first lap of 800 metres, he's done all the work, and he's looking at the young Portuguese athlete and say, right, you come through and take your turn now. But Vasco Velasa is having none of it, and he's just still sitting on the shoulder, although looking now just starting to drop off. But don't discount Leo Berger, because he's finishing pretty quick as well.
Well, it was 26 seconds. It's now 40 seconds, and Hayden Wild is crushing the opposition under his shoe. And he is putting out a real statement that if you make the slightest of errors, he is going to pounce. And second last week, if he wins this week, he will be your leader heading into London, and he will have broken this run of losses to Alex Yee. Vasco Velasa has been gapped. Leo Berger is looking to swallow up 2nd position. Matt Hauser is fighting along in 4th after that. And then from Nina, and then I think we're going to see, so I can't see who was behind that. We'll head down to Adam, who's got Chris McCormack.
Chris, Hayden off the front here. Is this all done and dusted now, do you think?
Well, it does now. It didn't look like when they came through transition. Vasco is such a talented, classy athlete, and sometimes I panic about Hayden's racing tactics, but it looks like he's broken him, and he wants this win badly.
Parker, Vasco, can he hold on for second here, do you think?
I think he can, but regardless, this is a huge improvement over last week for Vasco.
That's true, and just as he said that, Parker Spencer is a bit stitched up because Leo Berger has gone past him. He wouldn't have seen that, but Berger, he has been, well, it's his debut for the year, Leo Berger, and he has stuck around and been smart, and now he's reaping the rewards. But Hayden Wild, denied in semi-controversial circumstances to Alex Shee, looks behind and goes, not only am I going to take the lead in this championship, I'm going to do it by a nice little buffer with Alex Shee sitting back in 10th currently and still 10 seconds behind Seth Ryder. He's going to at best finish in 9th, and meanwhile onto the black carpet to the cheers of the crowd, the Kiwi Hayden Wild, denied at the death in Boston, turns it around in big style here in Chicago, will lead the championship. Crowd does it again, and Hayden Wild gets one back. Berger comes in second. Velasa holds on for the podium, and just as they did Stars and Stripes in the women's with Taylor Spivey, a third place for the Americans on home soil. Matt Hauser will be disappointed with that 5 seconds penalty, finishes 16 seconds back. Tim Hellwig was just courageous to finish in 5th position after taking a spill at the back end of the course. Kenji Nina fights all day, finishes in 6th. The third athlete from podium in the top 6. A great effort from them.
Okay, when I was looking at the ladies, they were smiling, but these boys are grinding his team.
So 4 athletes, in fact, from podium racing in the top 7. Important points from them. Alex Shee finishes 44 seconds back. He never recovered from the early parts of that race. Vincent Lewis faded this time around to finish in 9th, but look at that. Chris McCormack, who brought Hayden Wild into Supertri as a teenager, who was a relative unknown, who come into triathlon from Xterra Racing, finished in a famous sprint finish with Mario Mola for 6th in Jersey years and years ago. We thought, who is this Kiwi kid? And now he is a former champion, an Olympic medalist, and the winner here in Chicago, and will lead into the midway point of the season in London. And you can see how hard that was for every athlete out there. 1st or 16th, they have pushed very, very hard. Vetla Thorne on the left there, Vincent Lewis, who pushed hard too, just didn't quite have the top end speed, the 35-year-old. But still, Chris McCormack will be exceptionally happy.
The whole weekend we had
So, Liv Matthias, who finished 4th, consoles her partner, or at least chats to her partner Alex Shee, who just didn't have it in 44 seconds back. We'll head down now to Annie Emerson.
Hayden, talk us through that one. You are the champion here, back on the top of the podium. How does it feel?
Yeah, no, super stoked to be finally back on top. It's been a long time. Yeah, I went into the race and we talked with the team, and I just had to completely do what I don't do, which I actually hated. I was an absolute pussy out there, and yeah, that was the tactic. I absolutely actually hated racing because it's not me. So I know we had to get the big points. It was a hot day. I was a little bit scared coming in today just because of how Paris went in the heat, so happy.
Congratulations, Hayden. You are the champion here in Chicago. Leo, your first back racing since your bronze medal in Paris. How does it feel to be back on the podium at Supertri?
Yeah, it was the goal to have a successful race for my comeback in Supertri, and yeah, what a pleasure to join the team that I watched on TV last week, and yeah, I'm grateful to be there.
Congratulations on your third place finish here today, Leo Berger, bronze medalist from Paris. Oh, Vasco, you raced so hard, very impressive. Talk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, last weekend I got my very first elimination flag, and I promised myself I didn't want that to happen again. So actually, this whole week I've been training super hard to get back in shape. And I mean, what an amazing race. I just went all out from the start. I was like, let's just stay in the front for as long as I can. And from there on, the guys started pushing the pace, and I was just so happy with the third place.
Congratulations with third place, Vasco.
There we go, 3 superb athletes. Let's have a look back at the story of this one. And there was a nice bit of argy-bargy at the start between Matt Hauser and Jace McQueen, who pushed their way up that steep ramp. Hauser got the points in the end, and then it started to get tough. Alex Shee missed that pack, and things got more and more difficult for what was the championship leader. Max Stapley had a great swim to get back in the front pack. Tim Helwig tasted the concrete at the hot dog end of the course. Stapley was the first to cop a penalty for hat, swim cap not on, and he wouldn't be the last either with 3 of them there, but the pack ran around, and when it got to the final run, Hayden Wild had the goods to go from 2 to 1, and that will mean that he will lead. So Wild, 2 seconds in the end it was from Vasco Vilasa, Matt Hauser, Tim Helwig, Kenji Nina, Dorian Connick. So big points for podium racing. That could see them on the top of the points race after 2 rounds. So a great race from Nina, Connick and Yee. In fact, we're going to hear from Kenji Nina now, who fought all day. He is with Annie Emerson.
Kenji, you raced so hard in that last leg. Talk us through it. Better result than last weekend, but I can see you're still not quite happy enough.
Yeah, it's starting to get close though. I can feel it this time. I was actually at the front of the race, able to dictate a little bit. Still a little bit off after getting sick after Paris and then getting in a mental dip. It was hard to get out of it, but I had a good couple of sessions around with Hugo last week, sort of regained a little bit of confidence, and I just really enjoyed it. Absolutely spectacular to be back. Thank you.
We'll look forward to seeing you in London, Kenji. Congratulations, top 10. Well done.
Absolutely, it was great time to be here. Thank you so much.
Another week, another interview with Kenji Nina without a shirt on. It's somewhat of a tradition here in 2024. And look, well, it is what the viewers want to. That's absolutely what we want to see, I suppose. Let's have a look now. We'll head down now to the podium, and there is a very smiling CEO of Supertri, Michael Dolst, alongside our 3 winning
third
athletes.
place from Portugal, representing Team Stars and Stripes, Vasco Vilasa. Second place from France, representing Podium Racing, Léo Béger.
Great comeback for Léo Béger.
Supertri Chicago
Did exactly what he set out to do.
New Zealand, representing Crown Racing, Hayden Wild.
Speaking of doing what he set out to do, it's been a long week for Hayden Wild, relegated to second in a sprint finish, and Michael Dolst, Supertri CEO, congratulates the Kiwi, and he will be on top.
Make some noise for your Supertri Chicago medalist, Hayden Wild, Léo Béger, and Vasco Vilasa.
There they are, your top 3, and that really changes the complexion of not only the individuals, but also the team's leaderboard. As Vilasa, he's done that before, he knows exactly what to do. The champagne is sprayed. The fans have braved the heat out here and enjoyed every minute of this one, and why not? It's been another excellent showcase of the best short course athletes in the world in the best short course series in the world. And the action doesn't stop here either, because we head to London in a couple of weeks' time, so these athletes will head back and look at what worked and what didn't, and come back to do it all again. So let's have a look at the state of play now after this one. So podium racing, by virtue of those 4 men, and of course the efforts of the women, go from picking up 82 points in Boston to 83 in Chicago for a total of 165. just pipping Crown Racing, who had another very, very strong outing and in fact won both races, 160. Brownlee Racing, well, that's the big story, and it's mostly the men who finished towards the back. Olivia Matthias picked up great points in the women's. They are now 30 points back, and Stars and Stripes had a much improved outing to narrow the gap. So, there is the calendar as it stands. A couple of weeks to London, and then we have a month just about to Toulouse, which is my favourite race on the calendar. It is an incredible race, that one, don't miss it. And then we head back to Neom for the final. So the best 3 of 4 count. So you need your best 3 results and the final. So for the Alex Yee fans out there, he's going to do the whole thing. This one might not count. But for now, it is goodbye from here in Chicago. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. What a race that was, what a pair of races in fact, and what a day it has been here in Chicago. I personally hope we are heading back here time and time again. The fans have turned out, the weather has turned on, and this is the Teams League as it stands after that podium racing. Going one better between Boston and Chicago to lead by 5 from Crown Racing, who won both races, but there was just more consistency through the top 10 for the podium athletes, and they picked up a nice haul of single discipline points as well. Brownlee Racing, well, they dropped well back, 30 points in the end, 73 in Boston, 57 in Chicago. And then Stars and Stripes Racing improved remarkably here on home soil. Of course, last week was the same, but great efforts to hit the podium from Vasco Velasa and Taylor Spivey as well. And down on the course, Annie Emerson is here to wrap all of it up, and she is with the winner of both races. Well, not personally the winner, the manager of the winners, Chris McCormack.
Oh, Chris, what a day. Yeah. What a day, 2 winners. How does that feel? Are you super happy?
Supertri happy, yeah. It's look, winning's one thing, but, you know, it's sort of bittersweet. You watch the overall result, but I'm running around trying to find the team's results, and I think we might have just lost, been pipped. I'm not sure yet, so trying to understand how it is as a team, because obviously talking during the week, we believed we could win the men's and women's race overall, but we want to win the entire series as a team, and that's what's unique about this racing. So we'll go back to the drawing board tonight, have a discussion about what happened, and you know, look what we can fix, if anything, for London.
So what's interesting when I watch the women's race, Georgia Taylor-Brown and Cassandra, where are your loyalties? Because you got your team leaders there, both fighting it out. So you as a manager, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, and Kate just off today, she just missed the group. So we sort of made a decision as a group, because it's very difficult, unless I could see as a manager an opportunity to allocate the team short shoot to somebody else that could move up 4 or 5 places. When we're racing for the win, I allocate it to the athlete that won it, because it's just it's too difficult, because both those athletes, Cassandra and Georgia, were on point today, and I felt Georgia was running probably better anyway, and she showed that, and in the end it worked out. Cassandra let the gap go, that group got away, and she used that short shoot to run herself into second.
This course, I don't like to use this word lightly, but looked pretty brutal today.
Yeah, well, there was wind. A lot of people didn't talk about the wind. There was a crosswind on that bike section, very technical at the far end. Choppy swim, very hot. You know, it had everything, and I think we saw that. You know, that first race, everyone goes all out, you know, full throttle, and you see that fatigue start to set in and mistakes being made. And, you know, a lot of penalties on the men's side this week because of those little mistakes. We suffered the indignity of 2, and I saw podium racing had the same. So, it's, you know, these sort of courses are good. I think Supertri does a great job of making technically tough courses. I believe they could be tougher, personally, and I know our athletes could do that, so we need to look at finding some harder courses and really testing these athletes.
2 weeks to go until London, my favourite course. So what's your advice to your girls and boys?
Look, I just think we're finding our form. I'm keen to talk to Vincent. He hasn't raced a lot this year with an injury last year, missed the Olympics, didn't go through that whole build, and I feel like he was going to build through this series. He looked great today. I just don't think he'll be happy with that run, and it was tough for me because I was thinking of allocating him the short shoot, right? And I think he wants to get a race win up, and we've talked as a team, and we're prepared to let him get a race win if he can put himself in that position. And I think London would be a wonderful place for him to do that. But you've got Alex Yee at home, the Olympic champion. You've got all the Brits that do so well at home, and that is a tough technical course, and that swim's so important in London. So, pontoon draw will be critical, and just got to ride with the momentum and just look for injuries and sicknesses and see what's happening on the other team fronts, which is always keen.
Great stuff, Macca. Go and celebrate. You deserve it.
Will do.
Never needs too much of an excuse to celebrate Chris McCormack. So 2 wins for him. You can see the standings now for the women's, and Georgia Taylor-Brown finished second in Boston. She took the win. She's 3 points ahead of Jean Lahair, our winner last time out, who finished in 5th. Taylor Spivey, Cassandra Beaugrand with a much improved performance to make it a crown 1-2. And then Liv Matthias, who had a great race to finish in 4th. She picks up 12 points to go into outright 5th on 21 from Kate Woff, Jess Fulliger, Leonie Perriot, who struggled throughout, Beth Potter and Alice Beto. But the wash-up continues, and we head to Adam Leach, who's done a fantastic job out here in the heat throughout, and he has another one of the managers.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, I'm here with Parker Spencer from Stars and Stripes. Parker, Taylor Spivey, she really is your lead woman right now. Another great performance from her. She said she felt sick. All week she's been saying she felt sick, even though she was at the WNBA being a complete rock star to 20,000 people, desperate to see her medal. But what a performance out here.
Yeah, I've known Taylor for 6 years, and I've learned to never count her out. So even when she's not feeling well, she's normally right up there in the front. And she's 3rd overall in the series, I think, right now as well, after that today. So really, really solid day, and great to see her on the podium.
I guess the question for her is that she's such a consistent athlete, as you said. It's like, can consistency and kind of picking up those sort of podium positions, can that equate to actually winning a title? Is she always going to kind of be the bridesmaid up there?
No, the key over the Supertri series is consistency. You can have a great day, and we saw that in the men's race a little bit today, where Hayden won and Alex was a bit off. Over the course of the series, those points are really going to add up, and consistency is going to matter the most.
It's difficult to get ahead of these crown racing women, though, isn't it? What a stellar lineup they've got, and they proved it yet again today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that we've still been a little bit off of where I expect us to be. I think Kathia was struggling a little bit with sickness. I think that we're struggling with just staying healthy for these first 2 races. But we've got London in 2 weeks, and I think that our team will bounce back before then.
Yeah, and Kirsten Kasper picked up that short shoot as well. So it looks like in terms of your team tactics, you're really kind of learning on the hoof but refining them quite well here.
I totally agree. I think that, we had 2 short shoots in this race. It did make a difference. Vasco was right up there, where last week he was the first eliminated. It's just the difference of what a week can make. He was last week, and then he was on the podium right there with the best in the sport this week.
Stars and Stripes giving it a really good go here, Spencer. Parker, sorry. Congratulations. It's been a long day in this heat.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
Non, it's been an interesting day for you, hasn't it? It really has. You had all your women in the top 10, but perhaps not quite the results that you wanted.
Yeah, no, the women were really strong. We thought Liv might just sneak a podium there, but 4th is a brilliant result, and to have all the women in the top 10, we're delighted with. We all picked up some really good points. The only women's team to have all 4 athletes finish. So that's a really big bonus, and like I said, hopefully we picked up some great points there. The guys were on the back foot from the start. They were the last 4 to get on their bikes. I think their pontoon position really affected them. There was a big current sweeping from right to left, so they really struggled to hit the buoy. But again, Alex ran through brilliantly, and they all fought. I think we changed our tactics mid-race to pick up as many run points as we can. So it'll be interesting to see how those standings come out now in a hopefully soon, in the next 5 minutes or so.
Let's talk about the bronze medalist from Paris, Beth Potter, because she'll be disappointed again today. She was eliminated last week and not quite found her momentum. She looked good in the first leg and then just struggled really to sort of stay on the run at the end.
Yeah, Beth's had a really tough period post-games. I think winning an Olympic medal, it takes a lot out of you. It's a huge build-up, and I don't think you're always prepared for the emotional sort of fatigue that comes after that, but she stepped up massively from last week, and she said to me at the end of the race, you know, if I step up again like that, I'll be on the podium by the next one. So she's gaining momentum, she's gaining confidence, and I think she's will be ready now for London and for the home race.
Great stuff, we'll look forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Great insights there from non-Stanford. Obviously, races of two halves for her after great work in the women's, not so good in the men's, and this is the league standings for the men's. After that race, Hayden Wilde picks up a 6-point gap on Tim Hellwig, who on debut, having had an accident, follows up a 4th with a 5th to go equal second with Alex Yee, who drops back from the lead with 8 points. Dorian Connix and Matt Hauser in 4th and 5th, both picked up 5-second penalties and both end up on 22 and 21 points respectively to be in the top 5. In fact, all 4 podium athletes in the top 8. Vincent Lewis in between, from Sergio Baxter Cabrera, who had a difficult race today, and Vasco Velasta, who goes from eliminated to the podium. And that's exactly what you want. We're going to head down now to Adam, who's got Tim Don. And as I said, 4 athletes in the top 8. Can't be any problems with that.
Tim, 4 athletes in the top 8 today. What a day for your podium men.
Yeah, I'm super happy for them. You know, they started with intent in that swim, and they're all, you know, world-class lead swimmers. You know, I think Maddie really showed that resilience, getting out of the water and fighting for every team point. And we were always there. We were never always at the front. You know, Vasco was doing a lot of work on the bike and some of the other athletes, but it's a hot race, so we had to bide our time and keep those heart rates as low as possible to wait for the last run. Bit of unfortunate with 2 penalties, but you know, things happen like that. It's how you deal with them, and I was really proud of Dorian and Maddie, and it's so great to see Leo back, defending champ, right up there, and yeah, the men's team did really, really, really well.
Yeah, interesting with Leo as well, of course, because he's only done 1 so far. Our format this year is your best 3 plus the final count, so it's kind of a bit deceptive looking at that leaderboard. He is right in there, isn't he?
Absolutely, as is Alex Yee, because you can drop a race if he does the whole series. But yeah, to have 2 guys at the moment, Dorian and Leo, really fighting for the podium, it's brilliant.
Well, thank you, Tim. Great day for podium racing, and you're back on top of the teams as well.
Brilliant, I'm so happy.
Mac, a bit of controversy last weekend with Alex Yee's finish, and Wilde wasn't very happy, but he's back on the top of the podium. What does that mean to you, and what does that mean to Wilde to beat Alex Yee, the Olympic champion?
Well, it's been a rough couple of weeks for Hayden. You could call it a rough. You know, he got beaten at the Olympics, which was a tough one, and he sort of came in here last week a little bit down from that Olympic performance. I thought it was a remarkable performance. Anyone that watched it, he lost the Olympics by, the last 100 yards, so... But, you know, and then losing last week, I think he was flat this week, so I think he really needed this win. That was part of the reason I did allocate the short shoot to him, because he's the type of athlete that sort of snowballs with confidence, and I think coming off this, he'll be a lot tougher to beat in London.
Great stuff. Well, we'll be looking forward to London and see if he's got another victory.
I think we all will.
Yeah, exactly. I think he'll have something to say about that.
Totally.
All right, so that wraps us all up. We've heard from all of the managers. There's managers that are happy, managers that are unhappy. They've got 2 weeks to stew on it or 2 weeks to lord it over the rest. It's been an absolutely fantastic race here. Adam, you've done a magnificent job out here on course. I know you didn't want to appear on camera, but here we are. You're right in the middle in HD. Mate, how did you enjoy that from down here? Because in the commentary boxes, obviously, we've got a fan and we've got some lollies and everything, but you're right here in the thick of it.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a hot mess, as they say, Will, right now, but... I mean, tremendous racing again, wasn't it? Absolutely fantastic in both of us. 2 events we've had now in this series, and you haven't been able to call the winner until, halfway through the very end of the last lap of the run, and that's exactly what we want from Supertri.
Yeah, and the short shoots, sometimes people think that they ruin a race. Every time, I think, no matter what, they add something to the racing, but this time certainly did, and this course looks easy, but there were so many little wrinkles, so many little bits and pieces to get right or wrong, Annie.
This course was really hard. I mean, Macca said earlier he'd like to see a tougher course, but I just think with the heat coming off the concrete, with the wind as well. I ran this course yesterday morning.
No, you're always telling us, I ran it. By the way, I went
don't
running.
run as fast as I do, well. But it was hot, and just standing here now, it is brutally hot, and we saw the athletes coming across the finish line absolutely exhausted. But great racing, and I think the fact that we got 2 different winners here today is brilliant.
Yeah, 2 different winners, and those that won in Crown Racing, it doesn't end up winning in the teams racing, because what we wanted to do with the teams racing was make sure that everything counts. You come 8th instead of 9th, you come 6th instead of 10th. It's important.
Yeah, and it's been really interesting this year. Well, obviously the halving of the discipline points that you achieve as well puts so much more emphasis on that, on those individual results, and we're seeing the teams really understand how to play that this year.
Absolutely. Well, Adam, well done. Congratulations. I hope you enjoyed the racing. Annie, I hope you enjoyed it too. We certainly enjoyed bringing all of it to you, and don't forget, it all happens again in 2 weeks' time, where the crowds are going to be 7 deep again in London. It's going to be huge. Do not miss it. We'll see you in a fortnight. On behalf of these guys, it's bye for now.